And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of McCoy versus Osby. Step forward, please.
Child care provider Francine McCoy is suing her sister, homemaker Mary Osby, and her husband Matthew for the return of prepaid rent. The Osbys are countersuing for back rent.
Miss McCoy, the defendant is your sister, and I assume you're the brother-in-law?
No, I'm the husband.
The brother-in-law.
Oh, okay, the brother-in-law.
You got 3 women here. You're supposed to say right. This is your wife,
Yes.
and you're her brother-in-law.
Oh, okay.
You rented a house from your sister and brother-in-law, a guest house.
Yes.
It is your claim that at some point you came into some money and you prepaid rent for
Correct.
a period of time. Then there was a fight between one of the children, and your sister and brother-in-law told you to leave. So this lawsuit seeks the return of your prepaid rent for a couple of months.
Correct.
Is that right?
Yes.
Your sister says that you actually didn't prepay any rent. You gave her money in a lump sum, $1,000, but that was to go towards back rent that you owed for the year before. And you actually left owing them money for rent, and she has a counterclaim. Is that what this case is about?
Yes.
How much were you supposed to pay your sister in rent each month?
I was paying her $200 a month.
You were paying $200 a month.
No, the general assistance in my county was paying her.
Is that right?
No.
What was your agreement?
The agreement was to pay $300 a month, and that included all utilities.
And some of that money you got from assistance?
Yes.
How much did you get from assistance?
$192 a month.
So $200 a month, which means that she was to give you $100 a month for utilities and
$108.
et cetera. Is that right?
No.
Did you have a lease?
No.
Did you give your sister any money?
Yes, I did.
How much money did you give your sister?
I gave my sister $1,500 January. $500 was for the child care that she helped me with because I had had surgery.
Okay, so $500 is for child care and $1,000.
The $1,000 was for the rent.
I thought you didn't have to pay her any rent.
I paid rent because GA, when I got the lump sum, they was discontinuing their services as paying rent for me. So I knew that they was going to cut me off. So I gave her this money to pay for my rent in advance.
Did you get rent receipts from your sister?
Yes, I do have a rent receipt stating that I paid her.
Okay, let me see your rent receipts and let me see what you have.
I also have rent papers from the Department of Human Services showing where they paid the $192 for me until this time. And at the time that I gave her the $1,500, it's on this receipt right here.
It wasn't $1,500. You gave her $1,000
Yeah,
towards
right.
rent, according to you. When did you give her the $1,000 towards rent?
January.
And what months was that supposed to cover?
From March all the way until June.
Had you paid her in January and February?
The assistant program that was handling my rent paid for January and February.
Is that right?
No.
I have for January and February, they gave me $192 a month from general assistance, and that's it. And then when Francine gave me the money, it was she should have a note there from me, I believe dated in March, saying that she gave me $1,000 and was for back rent.
To whom it may concern, Francine McCoy gave me $1,500 that was due for helping me do some child care and back rent that was due.
Yeah, but I never owed her back rent. The GA
But that's
paid
what this
that.
says.
I know, that's what she wrote that out herself. I didn't sign my name to that note.
Listen, I'm never going to figure this out because none of you have rent receipts, so just listen to me very carefully because I'm going to handle this very swiftly. You didn't pay her any money. The state paid her money. So I'm not giving you any money. If the state wants the money back from her, they'll come and get it from her. Do you understand? It's not your money. It's Bird's money. It's my money. Right? You had no out-of-pocket expenses. You got a big check from them. They said, here's a big check. You say you gave it to her. She says it was for back rent. You say it was not for back rent. It was for prorated rent. In any event, it wasn't your money. It's the state's money, so you're not entitled to it. If the state wants to go against the provider who was prepaid rent, they'll do it. But it has nothing to do with you, because it's not your money.
The state had cut me off at that time, Your Honor.
The state paid it. You said you did not pay her. She got $192 from the state.
Okay, yeah, but
Good.
when I got the job, is when I got the money to pay her. That money came from the job that I did for my daughter for child care. That's how she got the $1,000. That money, the $1,000 that she got didn't come from no state. That came from me.
Oh, well,
I worked for that.
Good. Now we have this question. So, if she's getting money from the state, and you say you had no agreement with her for rent other than that, what were you giving her $1,000 for?
Because they cut it off. The state cut it off. So I have to have a place to stay. I haven't been working. And when I did the child care, they paid me $3,000. That's how she ended up with $1,000 for rent, because they stopped paying my rent. So I had to pay my own rent. That's how she got the $1,000.
No. If you don't have rent receipts, do you have rent receipts?
No.
Nobody has rent receipts. I can't help either. I can't help you. And I can't help you, Miss Osby, either. Can't help you. You say she owes you for back rent?
Yeah, because the $1,000 would have been, that would have, well, it don't matter.
It doesn't matter, because if you have a landlord and tenant relationship, which you have, what you do is you get rent receipts every month. Then you have a receipt and you have a receipt. You can't expect to come to a court with this convoluted arrangement that you have and expect me to figure it out. Do you understand?
I do.
Good. Goodbye.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
She is not right, and she don't do nothing but use and abuse people.
Keep away from family members that do drugs.
What about those who child abuse?
Her child decided to hit me and went to juvenile hall. And because her daughter went to juvenile hall, she gets mad and sued me.
She won that case, but I'm going to win at the end.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Damaris versus Harrington, Adinolfi. Step forward, please.
20-year-old homemaker Shannon Damaris is suing her former friends, 19-year-old salesperson Holly Harrington and 22-year-old car salesman Tony Adinolfi for the return of her cat, Smokey.
Okay, Mr. Damaris, you had a cat. Your cat's name was Smokey. Something happened, you had to move from where you were living, you couldn't take the cat with you, you asked the defendants, who were friends of yours, if they would take care of your cat for a while. That while turned into a long while, and now you want your cat back, and they say it's not your cat anymore. It's our cat.
Right.
Right, okay. So I need some facts. When did you get Smokey?
Smokey was given to me about 3 years ago.
What do you mean about 3 years ago? Let's get a month and year.
November of '99.
By whom?
My boyfriend's brother.
As a kitten?
They had him as a kitten, and then they gave him to us, yes.
But you didn't get him as a kitten?
No, I didn't get him as a kitten.
When you say he was given to us, you were living with your boyfriend at the time?
Yep.
So the cat was given to your boyfriend?
He was given to us as a couple, yes.
And then you got custody of the cat when you separated?
We never separated.
So you're still together?
Yep.
Oh, that's so interesting. When did you give the cat to the defendants?
I had given the cat in her custody in the middle, probably around the 15th of February.
And when did you ask for the cat back?
I asked for the cat back in June. That's a lie.
Let's say you asked for the cat back 5 months later. Where were you for 5 months?
I had asked for the cat in June because on my birthday, which was July 21st, is when I attempted to actually get the cat. But
That's July.
Yeah,
so
I had
6 months
attempted
later.
in June to get the cat. I said I'm going to be taking the cat, and she just kind of put her head down and walked away.
Fine. So then you didn't do anything in June. So the first time you tried to get the cat back was in July, which was 6 months later. Where had you been for 6 months?
I had been living with my parents. My landlord at the time, I had to move in with my parents, and the landlord didn't allow it because we had 3 pets already. And when my dog died, that kind of gave me an opportunity to bring another animal in, and my landlord allowed that at that time.
Where was the boyfriend?
He's incarcerated.
When did he become incarcerated?
On January 24th of 2002.
Is that why you lost your apartment?
Yep.
Okay. How many animals do you have now?
We have 2 cats.
Did you have those 2 cats before?
Those are my parents' cats.
Well, where are you living now?
I'm living with my parents.
And these 2 cats that are your parents' cats, have they ever lived with Smokey?
No.
They have not?
No.
Why would you want to take this cat back now?
Because
now we're talking about almost a year later.
The reason it's a year is because they dragged it out, basically. I attempted to get. I told them in June that
Listen to me. July is when you first. That's 6 months. We're not talking about bringing home a sweater or 4 new tires. According to the defendants, it was supposed to be a short-term arrangement for a month, and you were also supposed to give them some money to take care of the cat, which you never did. Is that right?
That's correct.
no money, no vet bills, no food, no anything else. But more importantly, you're treating this as if it was an inanimate object.
I care very much about my cat.
I don't care about you. I don't care about you. You have a cat. You disappear for 6 months. You're out of the picture for 6 months. That animal has bonded with a new family. And now you say a year later, I want my cat back.
I attempted to get my cat back, and they dragged
6 months later.
No, about 4 months later.
No.
There was no agreement of how long. The thing is, I couldn't take care of the cat at the time, and me and my friend came together, and she said, "I will help you out."
Who are you?
Can I say something?
Who are you?
I'm her witness.
To what?
To what happened about the agreement and everything.
She wasn't even there, Your
She
Honor.
wasn't even there.
She was there.
No, she was not.
Come on. When were you there?
Your Honor, technically I wasn't there for the agreement, but...
Sit down. Then I'm not interested in technically. If technically you weren't there, this is a court. This is technical. You're suing for $500. You're not getting the cat back. How much is the value of the cat to you?
He's part of me is what he's the value of it.
Part of you. When something is part of you, like a child, then you don't give it up for 6 months.
I didn't give it up for 6 months. I attempted to get my cat, and they dragged it out. And I offered them money.
You're not following, madam. What you did was tell me that the cat came into their possession in February. You told her in June you were going to be coming for the cat, but you didn't go there until July.
Yes,
That's 6 months.
I went there several times. And I visited with the cat and everything.
Just a
and
second.
she never mentioned
Just
ever.
Did you go to visit the cat every day?
Not every day, about
Did
twice a week. About twice a week I'd hang out over there.
That's a lie, Your Honor.
Sure it is. Case is dismissed, that's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
He was my cat, and I did attempt to get him back several times.
When we first got him, he was very neglected, not taken care of.
They are the one that has dragged it out this long, not me.
She definitely neglected the animal. She's got previous histories of neglecting her animals. I hear she can't even take care of her own child, never mind her animals.
Don't trust your friends.
20-year-old accounts receivable clerk Melanie Straub is suing her ex-boyfriend, 21-year-old kitchen manager Casey Snelson, for the return of her pit bull, Karma. Casey is countersuing for the return of his belongings.
Order. All rise. Quickly. Your Honor, this is case number 400 on the calendar in the matter of Straub versus Snelson. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Sir, have a seat.
Ms. Straub, how old are you?
I'm 20.
When were you 20?
April 5th.
According to your complaint, for your 19th birthday, the defendant, who was then your boyfriend, bought you a dog. You've since broken up. He came in, stole the dog. You want the dog back or the value of the dog? Mr. Snelson says that he never gave you this dog as a gift. The gift was bought for his son, for his son's 5th birthday, and he is counterclaiming for some property that you have that belongs to him. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Were you living together?
Yes.
When did you start to live together?
We started living together when I was 18, but we had broken up right after he had given me the dog for my 19th birthday.
Just a minute. Did you move into his apartment? Did he move into your apartment? Or did you move in together into a new apartment?
I moved into his house, but we then moved into, I moved into my house, into my mother's house in Portland after we had broken up, after he...
Shh. Try paying attention to my questions. You moved into his house. Mm-hmm. Who lived in his house?
Several people.
Who?
A couple of roommates, his son, and I, and him.
How old is his son?
He was 4 then.
When is your birthday in April? April 5th?
Mm-hmm.
On what day was the dog purchased?
I am not sure. It was a couple days before my 19th birthday.
And tell me the circumstances of his giving you the dog.
He had gotten the dog from someone.
Look at me.
He brought it home and he said, "Happy birthday, here's your dog," and that was it.
What kind of dog is it?
She's an American Pit Bull.
How old was the dog?
She'll be 2 in January.
How old was the dog when you got it?
She was about 3 months old.
And when did you break up?
We broke up right after my 19th birthday. I moved back to Portland, and I took Karma with me, and she lived with me in Portland at my mother's house, which I have proof.
Okay. For how long?
For approximately a year.
When did he come and get the dog? What date?
What date? I moved back to Bend after living.
What Bend?
I moved. We lived in Bend together. And
what Bend? Is that Bend, Oregon?
Bend, Oregon, yes.
Okay.
And after I had broken up with him, after I had received the dog as a gift for my 19th birthday, I moved back to Portland, Oregon. And she
And
lived
took the
with
dog
me.
with you?
Yes.
Okay.
And she lived with me. I have plenty of paperwork, receipts, original receipts from Portland, from Petco. I have Safeway, places, dates, times, amounts.
Okay, I'll take a look at them in a minute.
Okay. And she lived with me at my mother's house.
For a year?
For about a year, yes.
Was it 9 months? Was it 10 months?
It was almost a year, maybe a couple weeks
Okay, and then
short.
you moved back to Bend.
Then I moved back to Bend.
Where he is now.
Mm-hmm.
And he was all
And
along.
I am there now. And we had stayed...
Now look at me. You're looking
I'm
down
sorry,
at your paperwork. Don't look down at your paperwork.
Okay.
You broke up, you took the dog, you went back to your mother's.
Okay.
You stayed with your mother, and then you moved back to Bend. When you moved back to Bend, where did you go?
To his grandmother's. And then
So you went back, you were back together again?
Yes. And then shortly...
You were back together again?
Yes.
What month and year did you move back to Bend?
End of April, beginning of May of this year.
And when did you break up for the last time?
September 3rd, when he had choked me, and I called the police and had him removed.
So from May to September, you lived together?
Yes.
And the police removed him?
They requested that he leave, yes. And I filed a restraining order the next morning.
Fine.
And the apartment is in my name solely.
So when you moved back to Bend, you leased an apartment and he moved in with you? I thought you were living with his grandmother.
We lived with his grandmother for approximately 2 months, and then I leased an apartment in my name on July 22nd of this year.
And that's where the two of you were living. July, August, up until September 3rd, you were living with the dog. Is that right?
Yes.
Where was his son?
His son was in Alaska with his mother.
Is that right, Mr. Steelson? Look at me,
To my
sir.
knowledge.
No. To your knowledge, you would know if your son isn't around. You wake up in the morning, you go and look in his room.
It's
If he's not
been-
there. Look at me.
Well, I'm trying to
look
think
at me.
It has
I
been
just asked
roughly about 8 months to a year.
that your
since
son
he's
has
been
been
over there
living with his
mother.
mother.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, tell me how he got possession of the dog.
After I had filed the restraining order, I had dropped it because I want to remain friends with him still. I didn't want all of this. But he had came into my house and started arguing with me and just walked in. He still had a key because I had yet to be able to get it from him.
No, you're all right.
And he walked through my back French doors of my patio, came in, argued with me, and grabbed her, and then ran off with her.
Okay.
And he had called me
That's a
after
lie,
that.
Mary.
He had called me several times from a payphone and asked me if I had wanted to discuss this further, maybe repress the situation.
Do you have any of his property?
I have pots and pans and dishes that his aunt and his grandmother purchased for us for our house, and I would be more than willing to give those back to him.
Fine. Pots, pans, and dishes. What else? You have a ring that belonged to his
I do
grandfather?
not have a ring of his. I do not have any other possessions of his. He took everything, and he even took my DVD player upon leaving,
Okay.
and he had then later
Now,
given it back to me.
Good. The real issue here is the dog. Is that right?
Yeah, somewhat. I would really like my ring and everything
pay careful
back.
attention to me, sir.
Okay, if I can get my
Pay
personal
careful
belongings
attention to
back,
me. You can't pay
I would
careful
love to.
attention to me if you're moving your mouth.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
When my mouth starts to move, your mouth stops. And the only time that doesn't happen is when somebody is usually on speed or some sort of mind-altering drug, because otherwise people know that when they're in a courtroom, judge speaks, they don't.
And later today,
You want her to pay for a vasectomy that she insisted that you have because she didn't want any more children.
Yes, ma'am.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Melody Straub says ex-boyfriend Casey Snelson won't return her pit bull named Karma. Casey says he bought the dog as a birthday gift for his son.
When you had an argument over a year ago with Miss Straub, did she leave Bend, Oregon, and go and live with her mother for a period of time?
No, ma'am.
She did not. She never left. Is that
She
what
left,
you're telling me?
but no, ma'am, she did not go straight to her mother's.
I didn't ask you whether she went straight to her mother's. I asked whether she left and went to her mother's in Portland.
I went with her, though, is what I'm saying.
You stayed with her?
Yes.
did not live
She
with
came
her.
to live with me and my best friend in Vancouver, Washington for approximately a month and a half. Then she moved to her mother's, and it was only
Right.
about 3 months that
When
we were
she
over there.
moved to her mother's, Mr. Sneelson, was the dog with her?
No.
Yes.
Where was the dog?
It was with me and my roommate and my son and his 2 kids in the apartment with us.
Really?
Yes.
No.
I don't believe you.
You don't believe me?
Yeah, I don't believe you. Show me the proof that the dog was with you in Portland. Show me the... Show me.
Here's everything. That's got it all. She's registered under Multnomah and Deschutes County. All of her rabies vaccinations are under me. Karma Straub.
I'm missing something, Bird. I'm really missing something. My eyes must be getting out. Would you point out the dog in these pictures? See a dog in those pictures?
Not in those, Your Honor.
Well, then what are you giving it to me for?
No, that was the house that I was living at with my mother.
Listen, I don't care about the house and your mother. I asked you, I'm not looking through all this garbage. Would you kindly look through this junk and show me proof of the dog living with you in Portland, Oregon?
This is her license under Multnomah County. Here are her pictures along with all of her vaccinations and everything in Portland.
Let me just see. I don't want to see the pictures. I want to see the vet bills.
Okay.
Good.
Mr.
Nielsen, listen to me very carefully. Did you ever live with the plaintiff in Portland, Oregon?
Yes.
When?
Around June of 2001 until about August of 2001.
Where did you live?
We lived in Vancouver, Washington, at an apartment complex there.
Is English your primary language?
What's that?
Is English your primary language? Yes. I said to you, did you ever live in Portland, Oregon with the plaintiff?
No, not in Portland. But, I mean,
so the answer is no.
I mean, they're connected.
So the answer is no. You never lived with her in Portland, Oregon.
Vancouver and Portland are connected.
I have receipts that I had kept from Portland also, as well as...
Just a sec. I mean, what are you laughing at? What are you laughing at?
What? You said Portland, Oregon. He's talking about Washington. I thought that was rather humorous.
Your Honor?
There's only a tiny bridge that divides them. That's why you can do it from one side to the other. There's only a small bridge that divides Portland and Vancouver.
Let me ask you this question, sir. You think that if you paid your taxes to the state of Washington, the state of Oregon would say, that's really nice, we're going to... We don't care.
Well,
you paid it for Washington, paid to Oregon. We don't care. One is the same thing. I asked you a question. I said, did you ever live with her in Portland, Oregon? The answer is what?
No.
Good.
Sorry.
I also have original...
I didn't ask you anything. In any event, your defense, sir, is that you bought this dog for your son. It was a gift for your son. Is that right?
Was.
But your son doesn't live with you. Why didn't you give the dog to...
My son did live with me at the time.
He doesn't live with you now. He hasn't lived with you in a year.
No, but just because I bought the dog when my son was there, was the dog supposed to go to Alaska?
Why not? The dog
because
belongs
his mother
to the child.
wasn't going to take the dog, and that's my responsibility to take care of that animal.
I don't believe you. I believe that you bought the dog for her and came home and said to her, whether you intended to buy it for her or not, I believe that you came home. Oh, by the way, can I see the bill of sale? I want to see when he bought the dog. Shh. Say nothing.
Okay.
May I say something?
Shh. Say nothing. Oh. This says that the dog was purchased in March for $250.
Yes, ma'am.
He didn't even get that bill of sale until after I had called the police on him, Your Honor.
Is that right? I believe you.
That he
I believe you.
Show
me the registration for the dog.
Registration there? She's not...
she's registered under me under Multnomah.
Show me the registration.
I even have a tape, Your Honor, a cassette tape, that he left a message on my answering machine stating that he wanted to give me back my dog, but I don't want to play his rules.
Okay, you have that
no,
tape?
I tried to be very civil between this case, and we try to work on a competitive level.
You see this receipt? This receipt is baloney.
That's mine.
It's baloney.
What?
It's baloney.
I have an Avid chip put in my animal, too. That registers her to me.
Can you please play that tape for me?
It comes back to me. It's all registered into my name.
I believe it's
at any time.
Go ahead.
8:52 p.m.
I can't hear it.
I didn't want to see you because I did want to stay.
How can you have a videotape when your thing has no video? I mean, that's no... That was when we were in a fight. I was just letting her see her, Your Honor.
If you get this when you get home, give me a call. I'll be awake. I still like you.
You said what,
That was
sir?
when we were in an argument, and this was during a time where we were commuting back and forth. She was meeting me behind my grandmother's house so she could see Karma and stuff. Then we tried to hook back up. We hooked back up and stuff after this tape and everything.
We did not.
We had been together after this.
No, we
Yes,
don't.
Your Honor.
So what? You said I'll give you back Karma.
For the night. That's for the night.
You're full of
Your Honor.
baloney.
That's not for...
Mr. Sneelson,
No.
Mr. Sneelson,
That's
Mr. Sneelson, two things. First of all, lying is something...
I know.
You know,
And this is all lies. That's why I can't understand
lying is
this.
something
This
that is
just
objectionable to
absolutely
me.
ridiculous.
You take drugs.
No, Your Honor.
What I want you to do is, when my mouth starts to move, your mouth stops. Do you understand?
I know.
And the only time that doesn't happen is when somebody is usually on speed or some sort of mind-altering drug, because otherwise people know that when they're in a courtroom, judge speaks, they don't. Do you understand that? So I believe that this is her dog. I also believe that she is not going to be able to get this dog from you. Do you understand? Now, you're suing him for the dog or the value of the dog. He wants his personal property back. He wants his property back. He wants his grandfather's ring back that he says that you have. Is that right?
Yes, I do.
Okay. When she gets the dog back, you get your personal property. Do you understand? Other than that, you get nothing.
It's already gone.
Now, good. So it's already gone. So then all I have to do is I have to dismiss your counterclaim, because that you're not getting back. If she has your grandfather's ring that you said has so much
does,
sentimental value to you, that's
have
gone,
receipts.
along with your other stuff. Now, I don't believe he's going to give you back this dog. And the truth of the matter is, I think it's a good idea, because I think that there's something wrong with him. I think it's a good idea that you have no connection with him.
Me too.
Do you understand? And I think that you should get another dog, preferably smart, not a pit bull.
All I want
You're
is...
not going to get this dog back from him. And if you do, he's going to be on your case.
I was planning
permanently.
on moving back to Portland.
Listen to me. He's going to be on your case, and there's something about him that's not balanced. I'm doing you a tremendous favor, because he is not wrapped too tight. He is one bottle short of a six-pack.
This is all
Pay
that he
careful
wants.
attention to me. Pay careful attention to me. He is one bottle short of a six-pack. And if you have something that he says he wants, he's never going to be away from you. So go and buy yourself another dog. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,500. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I don't want another dog. She spent 2 years of her life with me.
She's a psycho, and I've been dealing with this. She stalks me. She comes by my work 7 o'clock in the morning, 6 o'clock in the morning.
He's just doing this out of spite.
It's about her being crazy.
You can't be an adult to someone who doesn't want to be an adult themselves.
Donald Haig and his wife Donna are suing their ex-son-in-law, cabinet maker Chris Webster, for the cost of a washing machine and dryer.
Order. All rise. Now, this is case number 315 on the calendar in the matter of Haig versus Webster. Parties have been sworn in. Judge, you may be seated. Folks, have seats, please.
Mr. and Mrs. Haig, this gentleman used to be your son-in-law. He's married to your daughter, and they have 2 children. Is that right?
Yes.
You are suing him for the balance owed on a washer and dryer that was purchased on your credit in 1994 when the defendant and your daughter were married. You bought it for about $1,000 from Sears. Is that right?
Yes.
And they were to pay off so much per month for the remainder of their natural lives. Well, then there came a time later on that you and your husband decided to buy a 2-family house with your daughter and her husband. And you did. In what year did you buy this 2-family house?
1995.
And in that 2-family house, 4 of you and the 2 grandchildren, also came the washer and dryer, which I assumed you all used. Is that right?
Yes.
And then there came some marital difficulty. And in the year, according to what I've read here, 2000, your daughter left.
Yes.
And Mr. and Mrs. Haig, you stayed in the house for a while. Is that right?
Yes.
Then you decided to buy them out of the house.
Yes.
Now, so from 1995 until 2002, this house was owned jointly, and everybody used the washer and dryer. Is that right?
Yes.
Now, Mr. Webster, when your former wife left you, What happened to the children?
They stayed with me and I take care of them.
And they're two boys?
Yes.
And how old were the children at the time?
3 and 5.
Was there a custody trial with regard to the children?
Yes. In the divorce.
So your former wife did at some point request custody of the children?
No. No,
she didn't. She did not?
No. She got remarried and went on her own life.
Okay. So there was never a dispute as to who would have custody of the children? Did there ever come a time when you had problems with your in-laws?
No, not until I couldn't take it no more at the house with them at the house and everything. So.
What do you mean you couldn't take it anymore?
It was just him not working, me paying more money than I'd had to, me just paying more and more and more money. Something had to be done, and that's why I bought them out. And I thought that was going to be it.
How much money did they get when you bought them?
Exactly $23,900.
How much money did you put in, sir, as a down payment on the house?
$6,500.
And you walked away with $24,000, is that right?
That's right.
It was a good investment.
Yes, it was a very good investment.
Very good. So, now let me ask you this question. What in the world are you doing here? You have 2 grandchildren that he's taking care of. Mm-hmm. That washer and dryer was paid over the last 8 years. There's no question about that. $25 here, $50 there. Everybody used the washer and dryer. The whole washer and dryer cost $1,000 8 years ago. You just closed a property where he's living with your grandchildren, and you made a handsome profit. You explain to me why, under those circumstances, you people would be foolhardy enough to come to court and sue him.
Okay, number one, the bill wasn't paid.
Why didn't you pay it? You lived there, you used the washer and dryer. Why didn't you pay it?
Because I got sick.
Well, that's not his fault. He's got 2 children to take care of. You're not his child. You got sick, you got sick.
Yeah.
What does that have to do with me? Or him? Or your 2 grandchildren if you got sick?
Well, I got sick, and when I got sick, I told him that I wanted to sell the house before we got into this financial problem. He did not want to sell the house.
Just a second. You wanted to sell the house after your daughter left?
Yes, right after, actually before my daughter left, I wanted to sell the house.
He lives there with your grandchildren.
I wanted to have him buy me out or sell the house so that I didn't have any obligations in the house, because I went 3 years without getting any money.
So?
And I told him I couldn't afford to pay all the payments.
So he paid? Just a minute. So he paid? What you couldn't pay, he paid. Is that what you're telling me?
Not all of it.
I don't care all of it. I don't care of a piece of it. He's taking care of your 2 grandchildren. You're not related to him by blood. Your daughter goes and takes off with somebody else, remarries, has a happy life. He's staying there. He's watching your 2 grandchildren. He's got to take care of you. He's got to take care of your wife. And now you have the audacity to come to court and want a washer and dryer that you bought in 1994 that the whole family used? I don't understand you, Mr. Haig. Is there something wrong with you?
No, there isn't.
There's a lot wrong with you.
No, there isn't.
Oh, yeah, there is. Go ahead. You have 30 seconds to convince me, sir.
Okay, when we first bought it, they took and they paid all the bills. Chris and Deborah paid the bills.
Just a minute. Chris and Deborah, where was Deborah working?
At Safeway.
She was working after the 2 children were born?
Yes.
Yes.
Full-time?
Part-time.
What was he doing?
He was working full-time as a carpenter.
So he's working full-time, she's working part-time at Safeway, and you're not working at all?
And I was working part-time myself, and it's some.
So the only one working full-time is him?
That's right.
All right.
Now, I told him that I was getting worse than what because of my condition. I told him that I wanted to liquidate my part of the house so that he wasn't responsible for me. And he did not want to sell the house. He did not want to buy the house. He said he would make up the difference in the bills. I sat down and I explained to him that when we sold the house, or when I got my SSDI, that I would pay him back.
So how much did you pay him back?
I paid him
$600.
I paid him back all the money that we owed.
Oh, did he pay you back?
No.
How much did he give you?
Okay. It came down to where I offered him $20,000 for a buyout. He wanted $25,000. And it got knocked down. I paid for the $2,500 when we all bought the house together. He got that out of me. Everything that they ever put anything in downstairs, money-wise, I gave him $1,500 because they spent $3,000. I gave him $1,500. And then he told me that he wanted me to sign and pay for this washer and dryer. At the time, I was just giving him so much money and just wanted him out of my life so that I can start over and just be alone with my boys. I just said, okay, and then I never signed nothing. I just
But
said
I don't
no.
care whether you signed anything or not. You paid him back. You
I paid
say
him a
what
lot
you
more.
owed him by decreasing the amount that you should have gotten when you sold the house?
Yes.
Okay, you still made a handsome profit when you sold the house. So instead of making $24,000, maybe you should have made $30,000, right? Fine.
Yeah.
You still made a handsome profit.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You have the opportunity to be there and participate in the rearing of your grandchildren. What a gift that could be if you were nice people.
And later today,
When the landlord showed up the 20th to get rent, he saw holes in the walls that they left in their room and in the door.
Did you make any holes in the walls?
No, ma'am, I did not. Her and her boyfriend be fighting all the time. That's where the holes came from.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Donald and Donna Haig claim ex-son-in-law Chris Webster owes for the cost of a washer and dryer. Chris says the Haigs have been ignoring their grandchildren.
Listen, Mr. and Mrs. Haig, do you see your grandchildren?
Right now, no.
Why is that?
Because we don't see him.
I'm asking you why.
Because the feelings between him and I,
What kind of feelings?
it's bad.
Why?
I don't
Over
understand.
What? Over what?
Over the payment. Because
Over
he
the
threw-
washer dryer?
Over the washer and dryer. Yeah, and also, when I went to talk to him about it, he called the cops up, and the cops told me not to come back to the house. Because if I came back to the house, I would be arrested.
Okay. Now, why don't they see their grandsons?
I have no idea. His birthday, my 8-year-old son, Brandon, his birthday was this past Monday. Not one card, not one phone call, not nothing.
Did you send your grandson a birthday present?
Yes, I did.
You sent him a birthday present?
I sent him a card. Yes, I did.
Card. Children like cards. They like presents. Why didn't you send him a birthday present?
Because I had put money in the card for his birthday present.
I don't believe that at all. Listen, if I construe this as a debt, I construe it as a joint debt. As far as I'm concerned, that debt should have been over. Certainly, 8 years later, the statute of limitations has run on that debt in any jurisdiction. And in this court, we use the doctrine of latches, which means if you sit on your laurels and you don't collect the debt, then it's forgiven. More importantly, I don't understand why grandparents, when they have a daughter who takes off, starting a new life, mothers usually don't do that, that are wrapped too tight. Got 2 little boys that she leaves with the father. You're living with the father, so you have the opportunity to be there and participate in the rearing of your grandchildren. What a gift that could be if you were nice people. What a wonderful opportunity that would be for you, madam, to say, look, my daughter's not here full-time. I got the 2 little boys. He's a carpenter. He works full-time. You know, I can be here. I can help shop and cook and take care of the boys if I want to. You're worried about a washer and dryer purchased in 1994. Your priorities are all screwed up, and I have no time for you. Your case is dismissed. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step back.
I'm just glad it's over.
I don't think it was fair.
I don't know how much more money I have to pay.
I'm very upset about it.
Anytime they ever want to do anything with their grandkids,
Oh, I'd like to be part of their lives.
all they have to do is just call.
I want to see everybody together, except I don't want nothing to do with Chris.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Norris versus Thorpe. Step forward, please.
Student Diane Norris is suing her estranged son-in-law, 24-year-old construction worker Travis Thorpe, for an unpaid loan for legal fees, travel expenses, and interest on the loan.
Miss Norris, the defendant used to date your daughter. Is that right?
They were married, Your Honor.
They were married.
Yes, ma'am.
When were they divorced?
They're not divorced yet.
So they're still married.
Yes, ma'am. Separated but married.
When did they separate?
In April of this year.
Do they have children?
No, ma'am.
According to your complaint, you made a loan to the defendant for some bail and attorney's fees. And he's paid you back some, but hasn't paid you back all. You want your money.
Yes, ma'am.
What was the nature of his offense? Do you know?
It was a technical violation. He hadn't paid his fees.
What kind of fees, sir?
Probation fees.
What had you been arrested for?
Burglary of a structure was my original charge.
And you bailed him out?
Yes, ma'am.
How much did you give him?
Altogether, it was $750 for his probation fees, $638 to get the attorney to get the bond set.
And what was your arrangement with him?
Travis agreed to pay me back when he got his income tax return. And they only got back about $300. So they paid me about $150 out of that. And then the following year, when they got another income tax return, they paid me about $300.
I will hear you.
Okay, first of all, when I was in jail, I didn't ask for the money. She gave it to my wife at the time, but I still felt I needed to pay it back. So I signed my income tax check over to her, which was $12.89.
Can I see it, please? Are you his wife?
Yes.
Step up, please. Tell me your first name.
Jennifer?
Jennifer, when your husband was arrested, you called your mother, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
You asked her for the bail money?
We went and got...
No, you asked her.
Yes.
And what did you tell your mother with regard to when she would get this money back?
I told her that we would pay her back as soon as we got our income tax.
You told her that?
Yes.
Not him. You told her that?
Yes, ma'am.
Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Go ahead.
I wanted to give the entire thing to my mom, and he was like, no, I can't do that, you know, and he had to spend, you know, $1,000 of it on drugs. So I made him give my mom $300 out of it.
What happened to your marriage?
He fell in love with another woman.
That make you angry?
Yes, it did.
Make your mother angry?
No, it didn't make my mother angry. She has no say in it. I mean, I did ask her for the money, yes. It was me that asked her for the money because he was in jail. But, I mean, the whole time he was on the phone, please get me out of jail. And I loved him, and I had to get him out of jail.
Just to say, listen to me.
I'm sorry.
He was talking to you.
He spoke with my mother a lot when he was in jail. He spoke with her and me.
He did. I went to jail to visit him, and he told me when I went to visit him that they would pay me back with the income tax refund.
Did you tell her that you would pay her back?
Yes, I did say I would pay her back, so I signed my income tax check over to her. I gave her that entire income tax check and paid about $600 on the bond. I paid all but $320 on the bond, and then all my probation fees.
The bond wasn't even $600. It was $500 to begin with. And we didn't have enough cash, so we put my mother's car titles up, her and her boyfriend's car titles up, to get the bond, to get him out. Nobody ever paid the bond. It's still up. They're trying to take away my mom's car and stuff.
What do you mean it's still up?
Like, the bond still hasn't been fully paid. So they want to take away my mother's truck, her boyfriend's truck, and her car because he hasn't fully paid the bond.
Your Honor, that's what I've paid on the bond.
Yeah, but you still have a balance.
Of $320, yes, ma'am.
So why don't you pay it?
Well, I don't know if they put up their cars. I was in jail when all this happened.
What, are you an idiot?
Well, no, I didn't know that that's what they had to do.
You stopped paying on this, sir. You stopped paying on it in 2001.
Because I didn't have any money to pay the other $320.
Who do you live with?
I live by myself, or with my girlfriend.
But by yourself is not with your girlfriend. You got to tell the truth right away.
I live with my girlfriend.
Do you work?
Yes.
What kind of work do you do?
A construction worker.
Good. If you do construction work, your girlfriend works, I assume?
Yes.
This is the girlfriend?
Yes.
Then you have money to pay the bond. What do you mean you have no money to pay the bond? What are you, a fool?
Well, at that time, I didn't have the money to pay for it.
You have it now? What is wrong with you, sir? You have responsibility.
Yes, ma'am.
Your evidence cooked you goose. I almost believed you that you turned over your whole check to her. And then I see this piece of garbage where you give me a piece of paper that says that you had a responsibility to pay a bond, that you knew somebody else was obligated to pay, and that you pay $3, $5. You made one payment of 60 cents at one point.
I just had to pay something when I went in every week to report.
She can lose her property. What is wrong with you? What is wrong with you?
I don't believe there's any...
There's a lot wrong with you. He's a loser. He doesn't take care of his responsibilities. The attorney's fees, the bond, the fines, less the money he paid you, $1,108. Listen, it is your responsibility to take care of your debts.
Yes, ma'am.
You screw up, you're supposed to take care of it. Nobody else is supposed to take care of it. Do you understand?
Yes. And that's why...
Do you have a car?
No, ma'am, I don't.
Does she have a car?
Yes.
You put gas in her car?
Yes.
Do you put food in your mouth at least twice a day?
Yes.
Do you go to a bar occasionally, go out for dinner once in a while?
Yes.
You don't do anything until you take care of your responsibilities. That's what you do.
Yes, ma'am.
Then you take care of other things. Clear?
Yes, ma'am.
That's all. Lucky you got out of this marriage before you had children with him.
Exactly.
Very good. Goodbye.
Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I gave her a $1,200 income tax return. I felt that would have covered what her mother had to pay.
I never saw any check. I wish I'd have got a check, because if I'd have got the check, we wouldn't be here.
I don't know why all this come up until now. It's happened a long time ago.
I think Judge Judy did a good job.
19-year-old student Allison DeGrace and her mother, Barbara DeGrace, are suing Allison's former landlord, contractor Stephen Rossi, for causing her to move out after only 1 day. Allison says Stephen crossed the line.
Order. All rise. Quiet in the courtroom, please. Yeah, this is case number 260 on the calendar in the matter of DeGrace versus Rossi. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat, please.
Mr. Grace, you rented a room from the defendant. The tenancy lasted 1 day. You want your money back, and in addition to your money back, you want some punitive damages you claim for invasion of your privacy. Mr. Rossi said you left of your own volition, you broke the terms of your tenancy, and you don't get any money back. Correct?
That is correct.
Okay. What kind of place did you rent to her, Mr. Rossi?
Room inside of a privately owned home.
You're the owner?
Yes.
So you rented her a room in your house with kitchen privileges, I assume?
Correct.
How much did you charge her in rent?
$325.
And what other money did she give you?
First month's additional for utility expenses.
How much did she give you in total?
$575.
Had you advertised for this room?
Yes.
Where?
Buffalo News.
Are you legally able to rent in your home?
Correct.
You are legally able to do that?
Sure.
She signed the lease?
No.
How come?
There was no written contract.
Why not?
Didn't feel the need to.
You have a tenancy, then you have a contract. It says what your rent is, what security deposit, what it's for, that it'll be returned, what you're going to do with the security deposit, put it in an interest-bearing account. I mean, you want to do all these...
There was no mention of any security deposit, Your Honor.
Well, what was the other $250 for, sir?
Money that she chipped in for the utility expenses the first month.
$250 for your utilities?
Correct.
What utilities cost you $250?
There was no mention of any additional security deposit.
Mr. Rossi, had you ever rented a room before?
No.
Never?
No.
Okay. Who advised you legally?
No one.
That's what I figured. Okay. Now, Mr. Grace, what date did you move in?
January 1st.
When had you seen the room?
3-4 days before it.
And you spoke to Mr. Rossi?
Yes.
Who else lives in the home?
His girlfriend.
Just the two of them?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. How old are you?
19.
Your mother. Sit down. And what happened on January 1st when you moved in?
He helped me move my stuff into the apartment, and he was acting very strange.
It was a room.
I'll get to that.
What apartment?
His apartment.
I thought it was a house.
No, it's not.
What is it?
It's an apartment that he is renting.
It's an apartment in a building that he's renting?
No, it's just an apartment, like a house, but he's renting.
From whom?
From his landlord.
Is that true?
It's a privately owned house, Your Honor.
Do you own it?
I don't own the house, no.
That's what I asked you before. Did I ask him that question before?
That's what you asked him.
And what did he say? He said yes.
He said, yeah.
You are a renter.
Yes.
What do you do for a living, Mr. Rossi?
Self-employed contractor.
How long have you been a tenant?
6 years.
In the same place?
Correct.
Did you have permission of your landlord to rent?
Yes.
Show me.
I don't have anything in writing.
Really?
No.
What's your rent?
How much do I pay for rent?
That would be the question, Mr. Rossi.
$470.
Plus what?
Utilities.
So your rent is $470, you're charging her $325.
Correct.
Go ahead, Mr. Grace. You say he's acting weird. He is weird.
He was not charging me $325. He was charging me $350.
Okay.
I paid him up front the day before I moved in for $250 for utilities, and the day that I moved in, I paid him $350 for the first month's rent. He refused to give me a receipt saying that I paid him the $350. He said for tax reasons. Then he showed me and my father all these gas bills that he owed. He did not say that he couldn't pay them. He just said that they were too high. And that night, I fell asleep that night. He came in my room. His pit bull first, he didn't tell me he had a pit bull. His pit bull burst into my room and started attacking me, started jumping all over me, biting my arms.
If a pit bull bit your arms, madam, you would know it. Mr. Grace, I don't want you to make up any stories
It was
to
under
embellish.
the covers.
You understand?
Okay, yes.
If a pit bull bites you all over the arms, you would have major scars or some scars.
I was under the covers.
Oh, okay, so his dog came into your room and it scared you.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
Then he came in my room smoking pot. He got the dog off of me. And he sat down next to me and he started talking sexually to me. And he said,
lie.
No, it's not. He's the liar.
You felt uncomfortable there, is that right?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Prior to your moving into his room, where had you been living?
At my father's.
Does your father live with your mother?
No.
How long had you been living with your father?
For about 3 years.
Why did you leave your father's house?
I wanted to become more independent.
Were you working?
No, I was going to school.
Full-time or part-time?
Full-time.
Who was going to be paying your rent?
I was.
If you're a full-time student, how are you going to pay your rent?
I am on SSI.
What's the nature of your disability?
Depression, anxiety.
And you take medication for that?
Yes.
You were going to try to make it on your own?
Yes.
Didn't work out. And the next day, you said, I'm going back home. Now, when you left, where did you go?
I didn't go back home. I called up my mother and I was crying.
Okay, and so did you go to your mother's house?
Yes.
And you stayed there?
Yes.
Is that where you're living now?
No.
Where are you living now?
I'm living back at my father's.
Okay, good. Everything okay?
At my father's, yes.
Okay. Now, Mr. Rossi, aside from the fact that you illegally rented a room in a place where you were a tenant and you have absolutely no proof of the fact that your landlord gave you permission to do that, I'd like you to tell me what were your out-of-pocket expenses for the 24 hours that Mr. Grace lived in your house? Is not an answer, Mr. Rossi.
Out-of-pocket expenses while she was there for 24 hours?
Yes.
There were none.
Perfect. Then if she left after 24 hours, why didn't you return her money to her?
Because I had to spend time to try to gain access to get myself a new tenant. If I was able to
what
have...
kind of nonsense did he just say? What kind of gobbledygook did he just put together?
I'm not catching it.
You're not catching it. You're not catching it.
You are...
Mr. Grace.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You don't look like an unintelligent person. A little slimy, but not unintelligent.
And later today...
Tell me what they were.
It was payment for money that I loaned.
That's not what I asked you. That is the conclusion.
The circumstances?
If you don't remember, say I don't remember. Remember that I will test you.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. 19-year-old Allison DeGrace claims former landlord Stephen Rossi caused her to move out after only one day. Allison says during her first night there, Stephen entered her room while she was asleep.
Mr. Rossi, my question was, you illegally rented a room, she moved out, you had absolutely no loss as a result of her moving out. If you were aware of the fact, Mr. Rossi, that when she moved in, that she was on medication, a fact that was evident to me, then why didn't you say, look, this is not working out. She's unhappy. I'm going to give her back her money.
I wasn't aware that she was unhappy, Your Honor.
Listen, she moves all of her things into your house. She comes there with her father?
Correct.
With her father. I mean, if you're an intelligent person, you don't look like an unintelligent person, a little slimy, but not unintelligent. You understand that there's a certain dynamic here going on. This was in what month? January in Buffalo? It gets very cold, but I'm sure your brain thought out enough in Buffalo in January to understand that there's a certain family dynamic going on here. So if it didn't work out and she was unhappy, she was stressed, whatever it was, you say, here's your $600 back. I'm not out any money. It didn't work out, especially since you were doing something that was in violation of your tenancy. You probably fell behind on some bills, and you probably figured you could get somebody to shore up a little bit, and you did, and you got a $600. You managed to pay off the bills you were behind paying off, and you say you can't have your money back. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $600, that's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Everything he said was a complete lie.
The girl's on lithium. She's on Prozac. She's only 19 years old.
I'm not on heavy medication.
I think she moved into a place. She moved out the following day. It's her loss.
I'm not crazy.
I think the girl's nuts.
Production worker Diane Wofford is suing her ex-boyfriend, welder Ron Cox, for the return of her belongings. Ron is countersuing for the return of his truck.
Order. All rise. Quiet in the courtroom. Quiet in the courtroom, please. Now, this is case number 200 on the calendar in the matter of Wofford versus Cox. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks, have seats.
Miss Wofford, you and the defendant, according to your complaint, had an off-again, on-again relationship for about 7 years.
Correct.
The last time it was off again, it is your claim that he came into the house and took all the property, half of which was yours. He says he got sick and tired of being tossed out with the clothes on his back over the 7-year period and decided that he was going to take the property this time because he paid for it and it's his. He's got a counterclaim for a truck that he purchased for $750 that he says was put in your name because he had some driver's license problems and you had the truck towed onto your property and he wants his truck back. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
So my question is, why are you bothering me? Together on and off for 7 years, not married. You see, we don't have courts here for those people who choose just to live together. We have courts for people who are married and divorcing. You know, the property is either community property or it's property that is divided by equitable distribution. But you expect me to go back and figure out who bought what? Is that what you want?
No.
No.
So what do you want?
I would like half of what was given, or half of what was ours.
Who bought it?
We bought it together. We shared all of our monies together.
Did you have a joint bank account?
No, we did not.
You mean you would see a TV and you would say, well, the TV is $500. Here's $250 and here's $250.
That's correct.
Show me. No, the burden is on her.
Okay.
Just listen to me. The burden is on her.
Okay. I would be more than glad to show you proof of receipts, but when he came into my house after the day he broke the restraining order, they took all the receipts. They took the contents of the file came. So I have no receipts. I have pictures of what the TV looks like. I have warranty cards on it.
Did you
That's
go
all
into
I
the
have
house after there was a restraining order filed against you?
I thought I was illegally served. I even called the courts. It was the next day. I went back and only took what things were mine.
Tell me what you took.
I took my TV, my camping gear, my skis, and things my parents have given me over the years. Tin cans that we collect.
What else?
And my clothes. VCR that a friend of mine owed me $20, and he gave me his VCR instead because he didn't have the money to pay me back.
What else?
That's all I can remember.
Okay. Now, how long did you live in this apartment together?
About 5 years.
Is that right?
Yeah, a little over 5 years.
Did you sleep in a bed?
Yes, we did.
Did he take the bed?
No.
Did you sit on a couch? Shh. Did you sit on a couch?
Yes.
Did he take the couch?
No.
Did you eat on a table?
Yes.
Did he take the table?
Yes, he did.
Kitchen table?
Yes.
Did you take the table?
Yes. I just purchased it.
Just a second. Took the table. Take the chairs that went with the table?
There was 2 chairs with it.
2 chairs. Now let's go back to the living room. There's a sofa.
Yes.
Is there any chair in the living room?
There was 1 chair.
Did he take the chair?
Yes, he did.
Is that right?
The recliner chair that my mom gave me, yes.
Where did she give us?
My mom never gave you anything.
Shh, come on. Swafford. Did the recliner chair come from his mother?
Yes.
Is there a cocktail table in the living room?
Yes, there was.
Okay. And?
He took that also, which was a Christmas gift.
Just a second. Did you, you know, Mr. Cox, when I ask you what you took, you're supposed to answer me, sir.
I'm a little nervous, that's all.
I don't care if you're nervous or not. You remembered your skis and you remember the $20 VCR. When I ask you what you took, you're supposed to tell me. How many pieces of furniture did you leave?
Everything that was hers. The couch. She has another kitchen table upstairs. All 4 chairs that go to that kitchen table.
Just a minute. Is there another kitchen table in the house?
Yes, there was.
And did he leave it?
Oh, yes, he did.
Good. What else?
That was hers.
Oh, just a second. What else did you leave is what I want to know.
Her microwave, the microwave stand.
Okay, just a second. Was there a microwave in the house?
Yes.
And did he leave it?
Yes.
You see what I'm trying to get at, Ms. Wofford, is the following. I have absolutely no intention of wasting my time in going through a bunch of ridiculous items of property. You now have a house. Your house has a bed to sleep in, a table and chairs to eat off of, a couch to sit on, right?
Yes, correct.
You have a microwave, and I assume an oven. Oven is kind of hard to say, but you have a microwave to warm things up, and as far as I'm concerned, that's as much cooking as any natural person has to have. So you have a perfectly livable condition, and I have no intention of going through items like a table and 2 chairs. You got a table and 2 chairs, you got a table and 4 chairs. You got a couch, you took the recliner chair.
Okay, may I say something? There was personal items of mine that he took. Whenever when he took his clothes out of the closet, instead of looking, he just gathered them up like this. There was a ski jacket that was bought for me from my sister. The skis that he took that were given to me by my sister. There was several clothes, my fishing pole, my tackle box, the coffee table that was built for me by my son's friend. And here's a statement from him, from the agreement that him and Ron had on it.
Because I paid for it, that's why the agreement's...
No, that is not.
Well, maybe why don't you explain why we got another coffee table?
Listen to me. Listen to me.
I'm sorry.
Now I want to go back to the truck.
Yes, ma'am.
Who purchased the truck?
I did.
We did.
Ask her
Just a second.
Ask her who the owners were that I bought it from. She don't even know.
How much did the truck cost?
I paid $700 for it.
Where did you get the $700 from?
I made payments as I was working. Each payday I made payments on it because I couldn't pay $700 up front.
We made payments on it.
Just a second. How did you make payments on it?
Because my boss...
How?
Oh, out of my check.
Check or cash?
Cash.
Now, the rest of the money, sir, went for...
Food.
Rent and gas and electric. And I assume that you paid those things together.
We did.
Is that right?
My checks usually paid all the bills and stuff because my checks were bigger than her amount because at the time she was only making minimum wage.
Okay. So your checks went to pay the household bills and her checks went for what?
To get through. She had a direct deposit. In the last 6-8 months, the year that we were together, her money was her money, and mine was mine. More or less, my money got through, and I had to beg her for
That is not true whatsoever. That is not.
true.
Everything we had together was paid 50-50. He paid half the rent. I paid half the rent.
Show
Electricity.
I have some bills to show you.
Show me.
I have no.
Did you pay your rent by check?
No, we paid it by cash. And can we get back
listen to me. Listen to me. Hey!
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Can we talk about the restraining order he broke?
No.
Ma'am, what about the...
No.
And later today...
This is her signature, 213. No deposit. Price of the puppy, $500. No deposit. What are you, a Swiftie?
No, ma'am, that's her signature, ma'am.
No, it isn't.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Diane Wofford says ex-boyfriend Ron Cox stole her belongings when he moved out of their apartment. Ron says Diane stole his truck.
Do you have a car?
Yes, I do.
What kind of car do you have?
I have the Toyota pickup and I have a Chevy.
No, what kind of car do you have?
I have a Chevy Cavalier that is
all right. Now, what year car is it?
It's a 90 Chevy Cavalier.
The time that the truck was purchased, were you driving the Chevy Cavalier?
Yes.
And what was Mr. Cox driving?
He wasn't driving anything at the time because he doesn't have a driver's license.
Okay. Bird, would you give me the title, please?
Can we talk about the restraining order he broke?
No.
Okay. Can we talk about his alcoholism?
You could talk about that with your children, but I'm not interested in it. I'm just interested in getting this. Sorry. I'm just interested in, right now, the truck. Okay. I see that this truck was purchased in two people's names. Is that right?
I purchased...
Is that right?
It is at the time, yeah.
All right. Now, Mr. Wofford, let me explain to you something, sir. While there is no equitable distribution or community property involved in people living together, when people choose stupidly to live together for 7 years or 5 years without benefit of marriage, I'm going to take the easiest way out for a court in determining who owns property. And as far as I'm concerned, this property is owned 50-50. Do you understand? You chose, for whatever reason, to put her name on the title.
I made that mistake.
You made a mistake. If you made a mistake, why should I have to suffer for it by extending this case any longer than I have to? Now, you paid $700 for the truck?
Yes, ma'am.
Is that right? Correct. Very good. Now, Miss Wofford, are you driving this pickup now?
Yes, I am.
What happened to your Chevy?
It's broken. The
so you're driving it?
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes, correct.
And do you drive it to work?
Yes, I do.
And I assume you want to keep it?
Yes, I do.
Very good. Then you will pay him on his counterclaim, okay, $350. Your claim is dismissed. On the counterclaim, I'm awarding you $350, sir. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Sign over the title.
What about all my stuff? What about my personal belongings that he has taken out of my home?
Sign over the title. Do we have a pen?
Your Honor, may I say something?
No.
Ma'am, what about the...
No. You're getting a truck, Miss Wofford, that in all probability you had nothing to do with paying for, and you're getting it at a bargain price. Do you understand?
I guess.
Do you understand? Worth at least as much as the fishing pole you say that he took. And that somebody's skis that... Did you sign it, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Perfect. Now, Bird, would you hand that over to Miss Wofford? And then, Bird, would you do me the last favor? Sure. Would you show them out?
Parties are excused. You may step out.
This man came into my home, ripped me off. I have a restraining order about his alcoholism problems this man has had.
A whole relationship was abusive, both physically and mentally.
He's a nothing. He's a no good. He'll always be a no good.
Technical writer Keith Kleiser is suing his ex-fiancée, 25-year-old student Katara Stewart, for the cost of her wedding dress, her engagement ring setting, and an unpaid loan.
Order. All rise. Your Honor, this is case number 196 on the calendar in the matter of Kleiser versus Stewart. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks, have seats.
Thanks, Bird.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Kleiser, you and the defendant were engaged to be married. The wedding was called off because Miss Stewart had a change of heart, I gather. And you want certain things returned. A loan that you allegedly made to her. A wedding dress that was purchased, I assume, with your money. And the setting for her engagement ring, because you had a diamond that she previously owned, set by a jeweler. I assume she still has the ring.
That's correct.
All right, let's deal with simple things first. How much was the wedding dress?
It was $2.99, and there was a garment bag that cost $10.
Now, who paid for that?
That was on my credit card.
So you're still paying for it?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you get the wedding dress physically from the store?
Yes, we did.
Who returned it to the store?
I returned it to the store.
Is that what you wanted him to do, return it to the store?
Yeah, he took it. He said he wanted it back, and he was going to return it for credit. And he wanted me to take the credit. But
that sounds right.
I didn't return it. He took it back.
Well, what were you going to do with it?
I wasn't going to do anything with it. I wanted him to take it back.
Fine, then you have to pay for it. The wedding dress is your responsibility. If you changed your mind, there was certainly, if he had gotten it to... If he had gotten a tuxedo for the wedding, and he called off the wedding, and the tuxedo was put on your credit card, do you think that it would have been right, would be right for you to pay for his tuxedo?
Well, if I kept the dress, I could understand that I would need to
No,
pay
you're not
for
going to
it.
keep the dress. You're going to get a credit. So the next time you decide to get married, you can go and buy a new dress and pick out a new dress at the same place where you picked out this dress.
Okay, but I
Do you
have
understand?
no, I have no
what?
plans to get married, so I
Well, I
don't
want to explain
need it.
something to you. Does the place that make wedding dresses also make tuxedos?
I don't know.
What do you mean you don't know? Don't be coy with me.
They do.
They make wedding dresses and bridesmaids' dresses and mother of the bride's dresses. So the likelihood of him getting married in a bridal dress are much less likely than you're getting married again and choosing another wedding dress. That be reasonable? You owe him $309. Now, let's take care of the setting on the ring. She used her own diamond. Is there any reason why you didn't buy her a diamond?
She offered to put it into a wedding band. That way it would save some money.
Fine. Well, that sounds like a very good idea. And you paid how much for that?
$250 for
Right.
the ring, and then for the labor to set it, it was $50.
Where's the ring?
I didn't bring it with me.
Fine. This is what I want you to do. Take the diamond out of the ring and give him back the gold in 5 days. You owe him $309. I'm taking off $25 because the most somebody's going to charge you to take out the stone is $25.
Okay. Now, so then do I get that credit for the bridal store, the $300 credit?
Oh, yeah, he's going to give you the credit. You understand that?
Yes, ma'am.
You have it with you?
I have it right here.
Perfect. Give it to her.
There it is.
So now we're easy with that. Take care of those two things. Wedding dress and setting. Now let's get to the loan. Talk to me.
She had asked me to put a computer on my credit card. The credit card was Best Buy. They had no interest
Were you
financing.
living together or just...
We were just dating at the time.
Okay, go ahead.
There was also a camera put on the same thing. She didn't have the credit herself, so I put it all on the
Camera
same.
for...
She wanted a Canon camera. It was also with no interest financing. It was something she wanted. So I put everything on the credit card, and we had agreed on a certain amount to pay off every month.
No, tell me about it.
Agreement was
Look at me.
every month she would make payments basically on the 15th of each month. The total amount would be about $130. She made one payment in March. Everything sort of happened with the wedding being called off, and that sort of put an end to all that, and then she decided that everything was just basically a gift.
Now, you see how quiet you've been? Let's hear about the computer.
Okay, the computer, I had a little laptop computer that wasn't compatible with any of the printers because the UB...
Don't tell me about computers and things that they exchange back and forth. I don't understand that.
He had said that I should get a new computer, and I told him I couldn't afford a new computer. I was going to school. And so he had been looking at the Best Buy ads, and he said right now that there was zero financing, and he had purchased a TV, I believe, at the zero financing, and he said we should go look at them. And so we went and looked at them, and they were, you know, they had good deals on them, but I couldn't afford it, and he knew that. I told him I couldn't afford it. I'm a single mom. I'm going to school, and he said, don't worry about it.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Maybe she doesn't want your ring.
That's up to her.
Oh, no, it's up to me. That's why you brought me the case.
And later today,
the phone rings, and I pick it up, and she goes, well, I was just letting you know that if you call my woman again, I'm going to F you up. And it was her girlfriend, Tony, calling.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Keith Kleiser says ex-fiancée Katara Stewart owes for her engagement ring, wedding dress, and an unpaid loan.
What about the camera?
I needed a camera for a photography class that we were doing, and he had brought that home to his house and gave it to me as a gift. He handed it in the box, and he said, he gave it to me and said, have fun with this.
Did you pick out the camera?
No, I was not with him when he got the camera. He brought it. I was waiting at his house.
Now, what's this $118 payment that you made to him?
That was actually for insurance, because I was borrowing his car, and I told him that I would make the insurance payment, and that was an insurance payment. It wasn't any payment for a computer or camera. It was for
He wants
the
to show me something that's different. Let me see what you have, sir.
I've got a breakdown of everything, how it became, what the payment was. The camera was included.
All right, all I want to see is I don't want to see what you wrote out here. I thought you had a.
There is
I thought
check
you had a
there
check
for it. That is my check.
When was the stuff purchased? March 3rd?
March 3rd.
Both the computer and the camera were purchased on March 3rd?
The camera was purchased in January. It was originally intended to be a gift. She told me that she couldn't accept a gift of this magnitude. It was just too much, and she wanted to make payments.
Get a life. Give that back to him. Give it back to him, Bird. Just cooked his own goose. All right, so the camera was in January, and it was originally purchased as a gift, but then she said, I can't take it because it's too expensive to give. Is that what you're telling me?
That is correct.
Sir, get a life. Get a life. You lie once, you don't get a second chance. You're getting back the setting for your ring and $284. You've given her the credit, $309, which she now has. Okay? But you are entitled to that money so that you can put it back into your bank and you can pay off your credit card bill. But I've deducted $25 from that wedding dress so that she can go to a jeweler and have the jeweler take out the stone and return the setting to you so that you can go and sell the gold. Do you understand what I've done?
There's no need to do that.
Why?
Really, to take the diamond out of a ring, there's really no point in doing that. It does me no good.
Well, what did you want? You're not entitled to have her pay you for it.
I don't want to have her take a ring completely apart and have no use for it, because I don't have use
Maybe
for
she
it.
doesn't want your ring.
That's up to her.
Oh, no, it's up to me. That's why you brought me the case.
That's up to
So
you.
you're going to get $284. $309 less $25. That's judgment for the plaintiff. With regard to the other things, I find they were, in fact, gifts. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
He was very unreasonable about trying to settle anything.
I had a buyer for the computer. I was all set to go. She refused to give it back.
When people get hurt, you know, you can't try and get money back.
It didn't have to go this far. It really didn't.
It just wasn't there to get married.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of De La Fey versus Andrade, step forward, please.
20-year-old salesperson Vonica De La Fey is suing her ex-boyfriend, 23-year-old warehouse worker Cesar Andrade, for the cost to furnish an apartment and for breaking the lease. Cesar says she kicked him out and he's not paying.
Miss De La Fey, it is your claim that you rented an apartment in your name, but it was for the defendant, who was then your boyfriend. You were not living there, but because he didn't have credit or some other such nonsense reason, you signed the lease on the apartment. And in addition, since the apartment had to be furnished, you furnished the apartment using your credit card. But you were not living there, you were living with your mother. Is this your mother?
That's correct.
But then, one day, after about 3 months, you just happened to be there. Got into a big argument with him, a fight, and the police were called. And you had the police put him out of the apartment.
That's correct.
They told him to leave.
That's correct.
You stayed in the apartment.
After he...
You stayed in the apartment.
After he officially moved out, they told him to leave, but he did come back occasionally because he had nowhere to stay.
You called the police and told them to put him out of the apartment.
To ask him to leave.
Right. And they did. Put your hand down. Ultimately, he moved out totally. You want him to pay for the rest of the rent on the apartment and all the furniture, even though you have the furniture.
But I'm only asking for half. I had the furniture, but I'm asking for half.
Right. You want him to pay for half the furniture that you have. Now, after he moved out of the apartment, you did move into the apartment.
That's correct.
And according to you, and stay there for the remainder of the lease.
I did not stay in the apartment. I had my belongings, but I lived in Burbank. I went to school in Burbank, and I got a job in Burbank. So from Palmdale to Burbank, I did not always travel. I would stay there once in a while so that way people wouldn't think it's a vacant apartment.
Let me explain something to you. The moment you called the police and had the police remove him,
Actually,
instead, does it look like you're losing? If it doesn't look like you're losing, then you're supposed to be quiet.
All right.
Because nothing that you have to tell me at this point would be quite as interesting as what I have to say to you. So if you listen, open up your ears. When you called the police and had him removed from the apartment, instead of you getting into your car and going home.
It was it was 2 o'clock in the morning.
I don't care if it was 2 o'clock in the morning or 3 o'clock in the morning or 4 o'clock in the morning. You get in your car and you go home. You didn't even have to have the police come. You just get in your car and go home.
He left in the morning, but he did not move out of the apartment. He left, but did not move
madam,
out.
you treated it as if it was your apartment.
I furnished it for him. He was my boyfriend.
Good, then you pay for it. Then you pay for it.
But he should pay for half of it.
No way. He doesn't have half the furniture.
It doesn't matter if he doesn't. I didn't want any of this stuff. This apartment was for him and his daughter. I have pictures. He played on my sympathy.
Let me explain something to you, madam.
Oh, what?
Let me explain. He might have. You have all the furniture.
He can have it. I don't want it. I have it because he left the apartment. I do not
you
want
have
it.
all the furniture. You're suing him for money.
Half. Right.
No, for money.
Right.
And I'm telling you, you have the furniture. He doesn't have anything. He was told to move out by you of an apartment that you say you really, it was just on paper.
I didn't tell him to move out, to leave for that night. I did not tell him to move out. I did not tell him to move out. The sheriff said for him to leave in the morning but not move out. He still had his belongings there. He still lived there. Eventually, he just left.
Where's all the furniture now?
In my mom's garage.
I don't believe you. The case is dismissed. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
It was not for me. He should pay for half of it.
We both moved in together. We both lived together.
My daughter was victimized by the defendant.
I did not use it for anything.
He had a daughter. He would sleep in his car. He didn't get along with his parents. He needed a place to stay. He would stay in hotels.
I paid the bills. I paid the rent.
If he was a man enough, he'd pay me, but he's not going to pay me.
I was even paying her car payment.
I'm over $10,000 in debt. Selling the furniture is not going to help.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Johnson versus White. Step forward, please.
23-year-old accounting clerk Kendra Johnson is suing her ex-boyfriend, truck driver DeBario White, for unpaid loans and for the cost of a tuxedo rental.
Miss Johnson, you and the defendant were dating for a while, according to your complaint. You say he owes you for 3 things. First, he owes you for a $100 loan that you made so that he could turn on his cell phone. Then you claimed that you invited him to be your escort to a wedding, and he owes you for the tux. And the final thing, I believe, was a visa bill for a restaurant. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am. And also, there were some shoes that were purchased as well. I have receipts for those.
Shoes for the tuxedo?
No, shoes for his children.
Okay. Mr. White says that he owes you for absolutely nothing. You paid for these things for a variety of reasons. Is that right?
Everything was gifts, correct.
So let's start with the first loan that you claim you made to Mr. White. When was that?
Last year, around middle summer, end of summer, 2000.
Middle summer, end of summer. I need a date.
August.
No, don't guess and tell me. Think.
It was in August. I don't remember which exact day.
And how long had you been dating him when you made this loan?
I had just met him, maybe 2 months I've been dating, if that.
And why did he need money?
Well, he said that he needed the money to turn on his cell phone so I can get in touch with him. He had no other form of contact for me to call him. He lived with his parents at first, then his brother, which he claimed that I was not allowed to call there, living with family. They didn't want, there were other children, his brother's children. So, no other form of contact. Can you help me find, if I'm supposed to be in a relationship with you and I care about you, that's something I'm going to do to help you.
So what did he say? You gave me a whole story. What did he say? I don't have a cell phone? Well, my cell phone was turned off?
My cell phone got turned off. I later found out it was in his sister's name.
He said, my cell phone got turned off and?
I need money to pay to turn it back on.
And you said okay?
Yes, ma'am.
So you gave him the money?
Yes, I gave him the money.
Good. That was in August?
Yes.
Is that right?
No, that's not, Your Honor.
Well, so tell me your version of the events.
You
couldn't be much worse than hers.
Yeah.
I don't hear anything about a loan.
I met this woman at work. We worked together for quite some time at NIH, and she had a crush on me, okay?
Listen.
So...
Mr. White, I want you to listen to me very carefully.
Okay.
Cell phone.
Right.
Let's get to the cell phone.
Mm-hmm. My cell phone did get cut off, and she was complaining that she wasn't able to talk to me. You know, I was like, well, I got a lot of bills right now. You know, I don't have time to turn my cell phone on. She said, I'll give you the money. Don't worry about it. I'll take care of it. You know, later on,
So she gave you the $100?
She gave me the $100, correct.
And you turned on your cell phone?
I turned the cell phone on.
That sounds right. Right?
No, ma'am. He did not turn the cell phone on.
He didn't?
There was more money that was owed on the cell phone.
So he didn't turn the cell phone on?
No, he did not.
Well, in that case, she must have knew my bill then, right? I mean, she gave me the money. She just gave me $100. How she know it was more money owed on the bill?
Did you turn your cell phone on?
Yes, I did.
I mean, around the time that she gave you the money?
Yes, I did.
And were you able to contact him?
No, ma'am, not by that cell phone. By other phone numbers, family's phone numbers,
Well,
et
this
cetera.
was in August that you gave him $100. You didn't do what he was supposed to do with the $100. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Kendra Johnson claims ex-boyfriend DeBario White owes for unpaid loans and for a tuxedo rental.
Now, when did you invite him to participate with you in this wedding?
October 20th.
So after he misled you in August and September, then you said to him, would you go to a wedding with me?
Yes.
Smart.
I was still dating him at the time, so
Listen, that's your choice. Did you ever say to him, where's the $100? Where's the cell phone?
I did. He said, well, I'm in and out, you know, job here, job there. I promise I'll pay you back. We're in a relationship. I'm good for it.
I don't believe he said that to you, Miss Johnson, at all.
No, I didn't.
Miss Johnson, I don't believe he said that to you at all. No. I'm watching your face. I'm a real good judge of that.
That's right.
Okay. I don't need your validation, sir.
Okay.
Now let's get to tuxedo. You were invited to a wedding in October. You asked him to be your escort. He needed a tuxedo. Tell me about it.
Originally, he went with me to get fitted for the tux.
You invited him to be your date.
That's
and
correct.
he said what?
He would.
Good. So you went for the tux.
I put the down payment for the tux, which was $30 to be fitted.
Right.
Later on, I had spoke with him here and there. We didn't get to the rehearsal. He didn't know what was going on. The day of the wedding, I called him. He called me, said that he needed to get a hair shape up and that he would be able to meet me. I picked him up. He says, I don't have the tux yet. I said, well, the wedding's in 20 minutes. It's closer to him than from me. He said, well, I don't have any money. I have no way to pick up the tux. If you want me to be in the wedding, you need to buy the tux.
So you did?
I did.
Good.
Later on.
Did you dance with him at the wedding?
We didn't get to be in it because he was late since he had to get his hair cut. I never got to walk. I never got to be in it at all. I was there when they were walking out.
Now, Miss Johnson, my next question is, when was the visa bill that you claim he signed for when you went out for dinner? Was that before the tux or after the tux?
That was before the tux.
Before the tux. So that was in September?
The date's on the receipt.
It was much earlier than that.
I have it, ma'am.
Can I see it?
Sure.
That was like our first date that she took me out on, and she paid for
September
dinner.
6, 2001.
9/6.
Those are other receipts as well.
September 6th. So tell me about September 6th.
There was a place called the Oasis in Silver Spring, Maryland. Somewhere he had been with family. He said it was a really nice place. You can dance. There's comedy. There's, you can sit down and have something to eat. Never been there before. He took me there. We danced a little bit. We had something to eat. We talked. We mingled. There was another party or something. I met some people. And later they give me the receipt for the food purchased, and I'm looking at this as, I didn't sign this, that's not my signature. Apparently he signed my signature.
So?
It's against the law. You can't do that.
So, if it's against the law, either you say that I'm giving back my credit card because I didn't authorize payment for this. You don't invite him to be your date for a wedding a month later.
That's correct. However,
well, you did.
When they handed me the receipt, when you go out to eat, I had like a little handbag, you know, something you carry when you go out. I immediately just put the receipt in my bag because not knowing to look at it. And then later on, I went through all my receipts and I kept them just in case I needed it.
Your Honor, she told me to go up and pay for the bill. She gave me the credit card. I signed her name and everything. That's not, against the law. She gave me permission when we sat down.
I didn't say it was against the law. Ms. Johnson is grasping at straws.
Right. She told me to go and pay for the bill.
I don't need your validation. I also don't want to hear your voice because it sounds to me as if you were taking financial advantage of this lady. Did you ever take her out for dinner?
No, not really. I wasn't.
No, not really. So you never took her out for dinner? Did you ever give her any money?
On occasion.
Give me an example.
Money here and there when we go out.
Like what?
As far as like drinks or something, if we go out dancing or something like that. But no, not really. I ain't spend no big money on her.
I'm not talking about big money. I'm asking you went on a date. Did you pay?
Not really, because she wanted to pay for everything. She wanted to pay for everything, Okay.
All right, listen. You must be absolutely wonderful. Miss Johnson, these were not loans, madam. You didn't make any loans to him. And if you came here and said he signed a credit card and it was an unauthorized use of my credit card and I never saw him again because he's an untrustworthy bum, then I would say to you, oh, maybe you got a case. But you give him $100. Listen to what you did. You give him $100 to turn on his cell phone. He doesn't turn on his cell phone. Then you go out for dinner together. According to you, if I was to believe what you're telling me, he went into your pocketbook, took your credit card. When you were someplace else, he paid the bill with your credit card. You got the receipt, right? Realized that he had forged your name to a bill, right? What did you do? Call the police? Tell him to take a walk? No. You invite him to go to a wedding with you. Then, the last minute, you go to have a fitting for the tuxedo. You put down the $30 for the tuxedo. Not him, you. And then you wonder why Mr. Irresponsible over here wasn't ready to go to the wedding. I mean, the wedding's in 2 minutes, and then he says to you, I don't have my clothes. I'm going to go like the emperor, right, with no clothes. You tolerated it. That's your problem. Get over it. Put a period. Forget it. Mr. White, you must have something that I don't see. Case dismissed.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I feel great. Just another case of a female trying to buy a guy.
Things happen, you learn in life. People lie to you, get over it.
She's just a deranged person. I'm just glad it's all over with.
I will never, ever loan money to a man again.
She thought she had me, but she lost it now, so forget about it.
Joy Peterson is suing her ex-boyfriend, James Stewart, for travel costs and a loan.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Hello, Judge. Case 2102, Peterson versus Stewart.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Miss Peterson, you and Mr. Stewart met online?
Yes.
You met Mr. Stewart, and according to your complaint, a romance developed, and there were two things that you believe, now that the romance is over, that he owes you. One of them is a loan that you made to him for $1,000. Now, Mr. Stewart does not deny that you gave him $1,000, correct?
No, ma'am.
Your defense is that it was a gift.
Correct.
And not made as a loan. Okay. On what date did you and Miss Peterson start to date?
We never dated. We actually wasn't through no dating site. Just somehow, coincidence, we came through.
Did you see her?
I met her once in person.
When?
When she paid for a hotel for my birthday.
Give me the date.
January 30th.
Of this year?
Yes, ma'am.
So you met for the first time in January of 2022. Tell me about the $1,000. If you're playing with your papers, you're not going to hear where we're going. Okay.
The $1,000 at that time, I was been struggling with heart disease, which I just got out the hospital for having a heart surgery last Friday. So financially, my dealership was a little bit under the burden. So I asked her if she would help me.
And when did you ask her? Was that in January?
No, ma'am. That's a couple months later.
All right. So that would be in March.
Yeah.
And it's the only time that you ever met her was in January.
I met her once, other than that, when she gave me the money. Other than that, it was just normally her texting me, how you doing? Do you want to meet up?
Okay.
So you met personally twice.
Correct.
And after January, you didn't see each other personally, just by messages, and that's when you asked her for money. And you were going to tell me why in March you asked her for money. I understand that you just recently came out of the hospital, and while I'm happy to see you looking well and healthy, it's really irrelevant to this case.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so why did you ask her for $1,000?
Because she offered to help me.
No. Nobody offers to help you unless they know that you need help.
Well, it's in writing.
No. Nobody offers to help you unless you let them know that you need help.
I was kind of life coaching her. We both was going back and forth. We had an open line of communication, so I kind of got comfortable to ask. So I see what you're saying.
Got comfortable to ask?
She already gave me money before that $1,000. That's why I was comfortable.
Just a second. I'm talking about the loan.
Mm-hmm.
I want you to tell me, since you acknowledge that she gave you the money, tell me why you needed it.
Well, I needed it because I paid for the trip, which was $2,180, which she gave me $2,000 plus $160 more for luggage. Came to just shy of $2,400.
I don't understand what you're talking about.
Well, she's already came to me and gave me money for us to take this little trip together.
What does that have to do with this $1,000? That's not what I'm talking about.
Because she was supposed to come and reimburse some of the money because I paid already into the trip. So I was asking her for money.
Am I crazy? Did he start to talk about his business needing money? He has a used car business.
Yes.
Really, before you come on a program like this, you should really watch so that you would know that one of my favorite sayings is, if you tell the truth, you don't have to have a good memory, especially if you're smart.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you're not so smart, and within 3 minutes you tell 2 different stories, that, Mr. Stewart, is a phrase that you should learn to live by. If you tell the truth, you don't need a good memory.
That's not correct, Your Honor.
Well, that's only because you wouldn't know the truth, because you have been introduced to the truth.
He says, the $1,000 at that time, I was struggling with heart disease, which I just got out of the hospital for having a heart surgery last Friday. So actually, my dealership is a little bit under the burden, so I asked her if she would help me.
So you remember saying that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So that's different from she was paying me back. You just have to acknowledge that's different. Okay. And let me tell you what you swore to in your answer. She offered to help me catch up on my child support.
On a phone conversation, yes.
I just asked you one simple question, sir. You acknowledged she gave you $1,000. What was it for? So now I have 3 reasons. 1, your car dealership was a little bit of a burden. 2, she was returning your money to you. And 3, you were catching up on your child support. Yes. Those are the 3 things that I have in front of me.
Yes, ma'am.
Is it door number 1, door number 2, or door number 3?
Whichever one you would like, ma'am.
So far it's $1,000 for the plaintiff. Now, whether it was for school or whether it was for your children's support, she's not responsible for your children's support. You're responsible for your children's support. Have you ever met his children?
No.
She doesn't even know your children.
No.
Do you have a child support order?
No. She asked me to marry her, though.
Just a sec. I asked you a question,
yes,
not
ma'am.
her. Do you have children? The answer is
yes. Yes, I have children. Yes, ma'am.
Yes. This is not a dance.
No, I'm just
This
saying.
is not a dance.
Yes, ma'am.
You lead, I lead, I always lead.
Yes, ma'am.
Later,
You had some trouble with your finance.
Joy Peterson claims her ex-boyfriend, James Stewart, owes for travel costs and a loan.
Now, the children do not live with you.
They're above age. Yes, ma'am.
When you swore in your answer that you had gotten behind in your child support order, what child support order was that?
It's the last child, because I got behind because I was out of work. So they're above age, but I owe a little arrears.
Okay, so that's the child support that you were behind. Had you been noticed to come to court on those arrears?
I've never been in contempt, no, ma'am. I've always kept a good standings with them.
Okay, but you're behind now.
Yes, ma'am.
You were behind then in March.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and you knew you were behind because?
I was on bed rest for 5 months due to a knee surgery and some heart issues.
Okay, did you request that your child support order that was on arrears only be stayed while you weren't working?
I got a new caseworker, wasn't willing to work with me at that time. So.
Okay, so there was difficulty. Your caseworker was involved in this child support order. That sounds better. And the child support order was in favor of the state?
I don't owe the state no money. I paid all fees off with them. I just owe the back child support.
To the mother of the children?
Yes.
Okay, $1,000. Now, I'm going to come to you. According to you, you gave the defendant $2,000 to buy travel tickets for you.
Yes, Your Honor.
When?
I gave him money in March.
At the same time that you gave him the $1,000?
No, ma'am. That was in April.
Show me proof of that. And I want to see $2,000 taken out from someplace for him to pay for these tickets. And they were tickets for you to go from where you live, which is where?
Springfield, Ohio.
To Miami.
Yes, ma'am.
The $2,000 was in March. What were you going to do in March?
In March, I gave him the $2,000 to purchase tickets because I asked him, can you get discounts for us to go to Miami because I was going to have surgery. So he told me yes, sure. So I gave him the $2,000 for that.
That's not.
Then he said, well, that's going to be more than that. I said, well, that's all I have for the tickets for me and my daughters. He said he wanted to go, so he was planning on going.
Mr. Stewart.
Yes, ma'am.
On what date did she give you the $2,000 to buy the tickets?
It was early March. She could.
Yeah, March, looks like March 25th. She gave you $2,000. And when were you supposed to go to Miami?
We were supposed to go July 4th, and she.
Okay, just a second. You're supposed to go in July. So you're talking about 4 months later.
Yeah, she canceled the trip.
Okay. When did she cancel the trip?
She canceled the trip about a month later.
So she canceled the trip in April?
Yeah, and it was a third party, so it's non-refundable.
I don't know that at all.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, just a second. So you're going to have to show me.
I didn't borrow it.
You borrowed the $1,000. I didn't say you borrowed this $2,000. She gave you money for a specific purpose.
Right, she wanted.
Don't speak. She gave you money for a specific purpose to purchase airline tickets.
For us.
Which you... I don't give a rat's behind for who. She gave you money to purchase.
As I did.
Airline tickets.
As I did.
This is not a dance.
No, I'm just.
This is not you lead, I lead, you. I always lead.
Yes, ma'am. Absolutely.
I always lead.
Yes, ma'am.
She gave you $2,000 to buy tickets that you acknowledge. The trip was canceled 3 months before the trip. Now, you say they were non-refundable tickets.
Yes, ma'am.
Show me. I just want to see where you tried to get either a refund or a credit 3 months. And I don't speak. You have to show me, because you just said the tickets were non-refundable tickets, and I could neither get money back for them when she canceled it or a credit. And I said, in all that paperwork, show me.
It's just public knowledge on their website. I apologize, I do not have it.
It's not public knowledge on any website. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $3,000. $1,000 loan, $2,000 for the tickets. We're finished here. Thank you very much.
Well,
out!
This court is adjourned.
Out!
She wanted to go on a vacation.
Taking advantage of me.
She was being a little aggressive.
Don't even look that way.
Now, hopefully, we can just move on with our lives.
I think we should print that on cards to hand out to people as they leave here. If you tell the truth, you don't have to have a good memory.
Yeah, that was pretty funny.
That defendant, in the first 15 seconds, told 3 different stories about the same $1,000. Reminded me of a toddler when you ask if they had cookies and it's all over their mouth and they say, no, I didn't have chocolate, I didn't have candy. 15 seconds, 3 different stories. So if you tell...
2132, Eagle versus Ulrich. All parties, please step forward.
Tobias Eagle is suing his former friend, Joshua Ulrich, for cryptocurrency profits and equipment.
Mr. Eagle, you and Mr. Ulrich were friends. You were traveling together for business. What kind of business were you in other than this cryptocurrency?
First off, we weren't friends initially. We were first business partners, and we worked together underneath my mentor through his company, Symbio. Yes.
Okay. And what kind of business?
It was teaching workforce development for, I guess you could say, people who needed skills so they can be prepared for engineering jobs.
Okay. You worked at the same company?
Yes.
Okay. And when did you decide to go into this business together?
Around January to February 2021.
This has to do with cryptocurrency?
Yes.
Okay. This cryptocurrency business that you went into together, did you form a company or an LLC?
He had already had a company established. I was doing it more as a recreation, but...
So the answer is you and the defendant, when you wanted to go together into this business, did not form a separate company?
No.
So individually, it is your claim that you spent some $20,000 on equipment for this new company.
Yes.
And you were supposed to share whatever profits there were in this new company. And quite frankly, I know nothing about cryptocurrency. I am of the Charlie Munger school of cryptocurrency. I think it's all about the emperor's new clothes. And unless I can feel it, touch it, taste it, smell it, or bite on it, it doesn't exist. So I want you to know that's where I'm starting.
Yes.
Okay? So you're going to explain to me what the business was that you were doing with him that involved buying $20,000 worth of equipment, which you now say is in his possession that you want back.
Yes.
Cryptocurrency.
Okay. He mentioned that he knew how to mine cryptocurrency.
Okay.
That's how we
now
use
that's,
it.
I understand that those are the words that you use. Where is the mine?
May I explain cryptocurrency to you a little more too, Your Honor?
Oh, I'd love to hear you.
Okay, sorry. Mining is just a term for generating profits from cryptocurrency. There is no physical mine, as you may already be aware. It's not like mining gold.
Yes. It's not like anything. It's like the emperor's new clothes.
Yes, ma'am. But essentially, cryptocurrency...
That's why it collapsed.
Yes. Cryptocurrency mining is just...
You know that it collapsed.
Oh, yes. It collapsed.
Everybody knows that it collapsed.
Yes, ma'am.
Charlie Munger predicted that a long time ago.
Yes, ma'am. But essentially...
You know that?
Yes, I do.
Okay. So what you were involved in is a shill game of Emperor's New Clothes, which would have involved all of your investors. Who was it that created cryptocurrency? The Winklevoss?
I don't know who created cryptocurrency.
Brothers? I don't know. Not sure. In any event, somebody had a vivid imagination.
Yes, ma'am. But all crypto is we essentially use our computer resources, specifically a piece called a graphics card that is really good at solving equations. We essentially solve equations for money. That's really all mining is. And
You
so we
solve
generate revenue.
equations for money.
Yes, ma'am.
What equations?
I don't know the specific equations. Essentially, the equations are so complex that when you solve them, you're rewarded for your time and the effort that your computer put into it, and that's where the revenue or mining comes from. We essentially validate transactions the same way you might want to make sure that a transaction on your bank statement is legitimate. And so we were paid for validating these transactions.
You sound like a really bright young man.
I appreciate that, Your Honor.
You really should find something important to do.
I have changed sectors since then, Your Honor.
You have equipment that he paid for?
No, Your Honor. I would actually like to
Just
get in.
a second. I'm
Yes,
just
ma'am.
asking a question. I thought maybe we could resolve this. Show me what equipment you purchased, sir, the receipts for it, and tell me where it is.
And so we're not here specifically for the GPUs that he claimed.
The what?
GPUs, graphic cards.
Just a second. Don't say anything to me, sir. You have a counterclaim for equipment.
I have it for equipment and cryptocurrency assets.
I'm not bothering.
Tobias Eagle claims his former friend, Joshua Ulrich, owes for cryptocurrency profits and equipment.
I contributed $20,000 in equipment, and by the first quarter of 2021, I am suing the defendant, Joshua Ehrlich, for cryptocurrency profits and return or value of equipment.
Yes.
I'm not concerned about cryptocurrency profits, because I think cryptocurrency is a whole lot of who shot John. And the only ones that probably got skunked are any investors that you put into cryptocurrency.
Well, it still has value, so.
Well, you know something? You tell that to all the people who lost billions in the last 2 weeks. Would you mind just showing me the equipment that you purchased and receipts for it? I didn't ask you for anything.
Yes, Your Honor.
Equipment that you purchased. Okie dokie.
And so for this equipment, it was purchased through an auctioning site. And so they only have a year delay, and then that was the only information I was able to receive from them.
That's not helpful to me, sir. That's not helpful to me at all. I can't, what am I supposed to do with this?
That's just showing that I have proof that I purchased the equipment.
It doesn't show me how much.
It wasn't how much I bought it for. It was because I plan on rebuying the equipment. And so that's just proof that I bought the equipment and that he has it.
That a workstation, a Hewlett-Packard server.
Yes. And I have a price
one
break.
small pallet of miscellaneous battery backups.
Yes. And there were specifically 12
and
of those.
2 Dell towers.
Yes.
Everything here are things that you want back from him.
Yes.
You have nothing in your house of these things.
Of those things, no. Those are in his barn right now.
Okay. Do you have these things?
No, Your Honor.
Did you ever have this in your possession?
Yes, at one point I did have it in my possession.
When?
I had it in my possession when we were at a shared facility that was in Rancho Cordova.
Now you're not in a shared facility anymore.
Yes, ma'am. Since we were in a shared facility, I have never had the equipment in my possession. Furthermore, the equipment that he's talking about has nothing to do with this case. This case is primarily around the assets.
You have no idea how simple I'm going to make this, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
He has receipts for certain equipment.
I have receipts for more equipment, and I have a very
Just a second. You have a counterclaim for equipment.
I have it for equipment and cryptocurrency assets.
I'm not bothering with that.
Okay, no worries, Your Honor.
Yeah, no worries. No assets.
No
there are no
problem, Your Honor.
cryptocurrency assets. Where is the equipment that you claim he has that belongs to you?
It was originally at his house when we moved out of the facility. I relocated all of it to his house. I have an inventory ran on the last day I was at his house, marked with the location, the equipment, and a lot of details. I would love to show it to you, Your Honor, if that's acceptable.
Just a second. Do you have...
On that list? No.
No. Do you have any equipment at your house?
Yes.
What equipment do you have at your house?
The graphics cards that he's talking about.
So you have the graphics cards that belong to him?
No, they belong to me mostly. So I bought most.
What do you mean that they belong to you mostly?
I bought most of the graphics cards. He put in some money for some equipment expenses. And for my estimates, which I wish I could have asked him, was around $3,000 that he put in. And I put around $15,000.
How do you expect a court to dissect this business mess that you've created?
I'm not here for the GPUs or graphics cards. That's why I completely left them out.
No, but he has a counterclaim.
And that's fine. He can present it.
I understand that.
Sorry.
How do you expect somebody to pick apart this legal morass that you have, except to say that all of the stuff should be sold?
Understood.
I don't have any value of what you claim you spent for this because there are no amounts on it.
Yeah,
well, that's a problem.
I do have documentation, Your Honor, of all of it, and it's labeled who purchased it and the amounts. In addition, the second page here has the totals that he was talking about, and the documentation pages are below
now,
that.
Great. There isn't a lot of very expensive stuff that you paid for, Mr. Ulrich.
There's not too much, no,
No, there isn't too much expensive stuff here, right?
Yes,
you know, we have something for $24, something for $15. You paid for the little stuff, he paid for the big stuff.
Two things, Your Honor, that I would like to mention. First of all, he did not purchase $20,000 worth of assets. This is a highly inflated number. I can actually prove this.
Just a second.
Yeah, no worries.
Just a
No
second.
problem,
I'm not awarding him any money. Each of you will take back the things that you bought. You didn't have a formed company together. It's not a company asset. It belongs to each of you. You're not in business anymore.
Yes.
So all I have to know is what do you have at your house and what do you have at yours?
He has everything, including all the physical assets. The only thing that I have at my house, Your Honor, is, or it's actually on my computer, technically, stored in a digital wallet. A digital wallet is the same thing as a regular wallet. This is just how we store cryptocurrency.
I don't want to hear about that.
Sorry.
I don't care
No problem,
about
Your
that.
Honor.
All I'm talking about is equipment.
I have no equipment at my house, Your Honor.
What equipment does he have in his house?
He has everything that's listed on that document that I gave you. And I actually do have proof that he has it because...
I'd like to see it.
So these are text messages from my roommate to his mother.
From who?
From my roommate. He was supposed to be here as a witness.
If he's not here, you can't show me texts from him.
He wasn't able to make
Well, you can't prove something to me via hearsay from a witness who's not here.
It's not hearsay. It's just text messages that he gave.
That's hearsay by a person not here. You know, I actually don't think that you're ready to have this case tried. I can't help you. You say you don't have anything in your house. You can't tell me how much the item cost. If he said he doesn't have anything in his house, should I rule that he has to give it back to you and he said, I don't have it, I can fix the dollar amount, but I can't do that unless you have what you paid for it.
I have documentation here that at the value at which I had to pay to buy it back. Because since it was through an auctioning site, I don't remember, I had several auctions I bought most of that equipment from.
You can show me a bank statement where you paid money to an auction house. I just want to see an amount that you paid to the auction house.
I don't have that on me currently.
Okay.
Well,
okay.
Your
Your
Honor,
case is dismissed without prejudice. Go back to the courts where you originally came from and see if they can help you any more than I'm willing to. Can't help you until you get your documentation together, sir. You're the plaintiff in this case. I can't award. You don't have anything if you don't have what you paid for the equipment.
But
He said he doesn't have the equipment.
and he's lying.
It may
The only
be, and the
re-
proof that you have is inadmissible here because your friend who authored those texts is not here. The case is dismissed without prejudice. Go back to the court where you started it.
Robin Slagle is suing her customer, Jack McCurcheon, for tuition and administrative fees.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Hello, Judge. Case number 2126, Slagle versus McCurcheon.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
You run a school.
Yes, ma'am. It's a program.
Is it a school or a program?
It's a program.
What's the difference?
The program is not a school where the children come every day. They come twice a week. Parents.
They come twice a week online.
No, we are
in person.
In person, yes.
Okay, so twice a week they are there at a brick and mortar place.
Yes.
And how long have you had this program?
We actually started this program during the lockdown in 2020 spring. So this is at the end of our first semester of our third year.
Okay, and tell me, who runs the program?
I do.
You have an educational background?
I do. I have a master's in education.
Does anybody run the program with you?
I have a staff, but I'm the sole director.
Is this an annual program?
We do operate on a semesterly basis as far as payments, but the classes just roll over from first semester to second semester.
And is there a contract?
Yes.
Okay, and you're going to show me the contract that the defendant signed on behalf of his son?
Yes.
Because that's what this case is about.
Yes.
The only interesting part of the case is your son was enrolled in the program. He was terminated from the program for, let's say, misconduct.
That's true.
And it was misconduct that was replicated in violation of the rules at least 3 times.
Kind of.
Not kind of, at least 3 times that you acknowledge.
Okay.
That's not an okay. That's not an okay.
not.
That's either a yes or a no. I mean, I read about 3 instances of cheating. You acknowledge that in your answer.
Well, it's different. It's different.
You mean he cheated differently?
No, he didn't cheat
Yes, well, that's what-
differently. I mean, I can explain.
It was explained in the papers.
Okay.
And you weren't there, so you can't explain. But you acknowledge the fact that he cheated. He was given a warning. You were advised. He cheated again. You were given a warning, and he was allowed to continue. On the 3rd such event, the school terminated him. Is that what I read?
Yes, ma'am.
And that's what you acknowledge in your papers.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, well, that's a yes. And he was within a semester. You would pay the tuition and then try to reverse the payment because you paid on a credit card.
Yes, I paid with credit card. Yes.
Okay, and then when you got the bill, you challenged that payment, which you had in fact received, and whatever you told the credit card company as a result of what you told them, the payment was reversed and taken off your credit card.
That is correct.
Right. And so they are here now seeking that tuition payment from a court. That's why we're here, to see whether contractually, because this is a breach of contract action, you were obligated to pay the tuition even though your son was not in the program because he was dismissed for cause, which you acknowledge. Are we clear on where we are?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Good. So now I'm going to look at the contract.
I'd like to add that...
Just let me look at the contract first.
Well, if you see contract, they're signed by my party. I want to see it too because I don't see my name. I sign a contract. That's a statement probably, or it's a...
It's a payment agreement.
Yeah, that's not a contract.
Yeah, payment agreement is a contract, sir.
But signed by me?
Well, it says signed Irina and Jack.
Okay.
Is Irina your wife?
That's correct, yeah.
Okay. So this says, I understand that payments are due even if classes or memberships are dropped, subject to the refund policy. Well, what's the refund policy, and where is that in writing?
It is on our website, and they've signed it. It was a form that they had to sign.
Well, I'd like to see the form that they signed, because I have to see what the terms are of that.
These are the terms of the refund.
Thank you.
That's a screenshot of our website.
Now, the website is unimportant to me. You say you have an agreement signed by them. I'd like to see it.
Well, the agreement that we have signed was the installment agreement, so I'm sorry.
Well, I only have one payment agreement. What I said I want to see is a refund policy. You said you have that they signed. I don't see
They
that
don't sign the policy. They sign the agreement. The policy is a written policy.
Well, I would like to see the written policy.
That's what we have on our website, and it's clearly...
No.
No? Okay.
Now, what you have to do is you have to incorporate something by agreement in this contract. If you say the refund policy as outlined in the website, because other than that, it's meaningless.
Okay.
You know, you're saying we have a refund policy, and we assume that you looked on the website to see what the policy is.
We also do go over it in parent meetings with the parents.
That you can't do because you have a written agreement.
Right.
And anything that's outside of that agreement, unless it's referenced in the agreement, is inadmissible because the intention of it is to somehow change or modify the terms of your written contract. Okay, so in what month did the defendant's son start the program?
In August of 2021.
And it runs in 2 semesters. And when was he terminated?
He was terminated in February of 2022.
You were in a semester program?
Yes.
So am I correct that the first 2 episodes of cheating were in the first semester?
Yes.
When?
The first one was early in November. It happened to be the 3rd week of our 2nd semester. The next one was a couple of weeks later in the same month of November.
Okay, so the semester had started?
Mm-hmm.
Second semester. Yes. And on what day in February was he terminated?
He was terminated on February 24th, I believe. Yes.
And when you terminated, the defendant, I assume, paid the entire semester's tuition for the 2nd semester.
The 2nd semester, he signed the installment agreement, which is what you have there.
This is a payment agreement.
Right. That's it. He agreed to pay in installments.
No, it says, I agree to pay all charges by due dates according to the payment plan. I don't have a signed payment plan from anybody. Do you have one?
I'm sorry, that's what we use for our signed payment plan.
Well, you should use something different. This is not a payment plan. This says he will pay according to a payment plan. I'm looking for the payment plan. You pay by the month, you pay by the semester. How do you pay?
It's a semesterly fee that's broken into 4 payments, so they don't have to pay it all up front.
Okay.
They can choose to. But
and so when was the defendant's last payment?
They paid through the semester.
Through what semester?
2nd semester.
Okay, so they paid in full?
Through the installment. So what happens is they agree to be automatically billed. And so every month, a certain amount comes out.
Just a second. So what you're saying is when they sign up, they give you authority to pull out from their bank.
Yes.
Whatever the tuition is for that month.
Right.
Okay. And according to your records, when was the last payment that you received for the defendant's son prior to terminating him?
Prior to terminating him, we received a payment in February.
And you terminated him on February 24th?
Yes.
How much was that payment?
It was, have it right here. You know what? I don't know.
$350 every
It was
month.
$300, that's right. $350.
I know, I got charged the extra month, so I know the number.
Okay, so it was $350 that you paid the beginning of February, and he was there in February.
That is correct.
Okay. In what month did you dispute the charge?
Well,
not well. I said, in what month?
May. I only realized in May she's been charging.
Just a second.
He was plagiarized by teachers.
It was plagiarized by teachers.
He was given notice because he lied on a test by teacher, yeah? But it's not exactly what happened.
They're not in the business of expelling children. They're in the business of keeping children in school. You really have to get this through your head.
Sligo claims her customer, Jack McCurcheon, owes for tuition and administrative fees.
So you paid in February, and your son was there in February.
That is correct.
Did you pay in March?
It was taken out of my account without me knowing, but yes.
Is that $350?
That is correct.
And did you pay in April?
I did pay in April.
Okay. Now, the May payment, is the May payment the payment that you canceled?
No, on the May, I also paid for a May payment. Looking at my statements, I said, why are we paying for the child? He doesn't go to school anymore. And that's when I called them. And then I called my credit card company, explained to what happened. They said, we are going to charge the money back to your account. And that's when I kind of looked through paperwork, and I'm an immigrant this country. I don't read really well. I can speak. And my son, he's a young guy, and he knows exactly what it is, and that's what I brought him. I said, can you see, do we owe these people money? And if you guys allow it, I can have Alex to explain what here shows.
Just see it. He doesn't have to explain anything to me.
Okay.
I'm not new to the country, and I was legally trained, so I don't need your son. I assume you're not legally trained?
I am not.
To interpret something, a piece of paper. So now I will look at the piece of paper that you're relying on, but I want to tell you this, sir. I pay the tuition for a lot of people, a lot, because I have 13 grandchildren in school.
Okay.
I'll take that, Kevin. Thank you, I'm sorry. I know that if one of my kids or grandkids goes to school and gets expelled, and I've paid the tuition, because I'm not on a payment plan. Parents send the bill directly. and so I pay the tuition, but I know if one of the kids in November, once I pay the tuition, gets caught cheating on a test or plagiarizing a paper, and he or she is dismissed from the school, they're not going to give me my tuition back, even though he's not in school. I'm not going to get the tuition back for that semester.
That's true.
That's what I'm telling you. I know that. So now I'm going to see what you want me to read that suggests that in this case, even though your son was terminated for cause from the school for cheating.
Dismissal versus termination is different.
No, it's not different at all. It's the exact same thing. Dismissed, terminated, expelled, all the same thing. If you look them up under synonyms for each other in the dictionary, you will find they're all the same. He was excised from the school because he cheated despite multiple warnings. So he was expelled from cause. I just want you to understand that. Did you go to college?
Currently enrolled.
Currently. Stand up. You look like a nice young man. Where do you go to school?
Cal Poly Pomona.
And who pays the tuition?
I do.
Now, what's your first name?
Alex.
Now, Alex, you do know that if you got expelled from college for cheating in the middle of a semester, you wouldn't get your tuition back for that semester. You do know that?
Correct.
Okay, that's all I want to know. Well, that's what we're dealing with
Could
here.
I add something?
Sure.
Well, according to their honesty policy, they made a clear difference between dismissal and expulsion.
I'm going to look at it. Okay?
Okay.
Okay, so what you gave me now acknowledges that you received the refund policy. Thank you very much, because she wasn't able to prove that she gave it to you, but now you gave it to me, so I know you were given the refund policy when you enrolled your son in school.
So we weren't given, but it's something they have it on their website for you to...
Just a second. Well, then you look. You don't have to sign. Then you looked at the website. You gave me this. Do you understand? That's what I mean, legal.
I went and tried to understand.
Well, you should have done it before.
Well,
you were perfectly capable of doing it before.
I signed a contract, I signed and I explained everything.
You just told me 5 minutes ago that you didn't sign any contract. Well, now you acknowledge that you signed the contract. I'm just reading this that you gave me.
A contract has to be a complete contract. If
just
there
a second.
is something...
For somebody who's, not here, not from this country, and doesn't understand things, you seem to understand things very well.
I know the contract has to be completed.
Well, that's very good. A lot of people don't know that.
So if I give a contract for a statement, then I say, go in my website to read about our refund policy. That's not part of the contract. That's their rules, no? I didn't sign refund policy.
You don't have to sign a refund policy. You just have to be aware of it.
If I don't know how to get into website or don't know.
You gave me the evidence.
But this was done after everything done. I looked into it. Okay?
You were certainly aware of how to do it, either before or after.
When I sign contract with someone, I disclose everything, and they initial, and they get copies. I get copies, and that's a legal bonding contract.
Good. What law school did you go to?
None.
Well, there are two things here, but the final piece here says, the consequence for academic dishonesty or plagiarism is a score of 0 on the assignment and possibly dismissal from the class.
Okay.
So your son did that in the first semester at least twice. Repeated dishonesty can result in suspension or expulsion. Now you can stand up because your father says he doesn't understand everything. I think he understands everything just fine. But in case he wants to have you there. Now, when you were discussing this with your father, did you have any conversation with him that suggested to him that, you know, if I went to college and I cheated 3 times or 4 times or plagiarized a paper and I was kicked out of school, I wouldn't get my tuition back? Did you tell him that?
No, we had similar talks, but no, nothing on the school. We talked about, for instance, the signing contract for, let's say, a 1-year lease agreement to live somewhere, but if you breach the contract and they decide to kick you out, it's the same thing as expulsion. You're not required to finish the 1-year contract with them. You don't have to continue paying.
If they decide.
What are you kidding?
I am not. If you get evicted from a property, do you have to continue paying the entire year's lease?
Yeah. If you breach a lease, he or she can evict you. And yes, you will be responsible for the remainder of the lease.
Oh, I was unaware of that.
Yes, you will be responsible for the remainder of the lease. You have to understand, and your father has to understand, the reason that he was expelled is his fault. And the reason he was expelled had nothing to do with them. It had to do with your father, because you were put on notice that he was plagiarizing and cheating on tests. If what you're suggesting is the 3 times that your son was caught cheating were the only times he cheated, you're deluding yourself. He got caught 3 times. Because if these were the only 3 times that he cheated, he is the unluckiest person on the planet.
Slagle has accused her customer, Jack McCurshan, of refusing to pay tuition. Jack claims he is not required to pay because his son was dismissed from her school.
You were put on notice, and instead of being more vigilant, the conduct continued. He lives in your house. How old is he?
14.
14. Well,
I want to ask about this plagiarizing thing, which it is, because remember beginning you asked me 3 times, he was plagiarized by teachers, which I was not.
He was plagiarized by teachers.
Like he was given notice because he lied on a test by teacher, yeah? But it's not exactly what happened.
Well, then you should have, just a second, then you should have contested it, sir.
Well,
you should have contested it. Did you say
they don't want him to be out of the school? They don't want him to be there.
No.
What do you do? I mean, you
what do you do?
With them?
What do you do? You pay the tuition for that semester because that's your contractual obligation, and you tell your son you better straighten up. And if I have to take you to a psychiatrist, if I have to take you to a therapist, if I have to find a more rigid school environment, I'm going to do that.
Well, he really didn't cheat.
You really have to get this through your head.
When it says cheating, last time he was expelled from school. Do we have a...
No, don't look at her.
That day he had an excellent score on his math, and his last test was his history, and he forgot to learn the history, and he did have a paper with him, but he did not cheat it. Actually, there is no proof he cheated that day.
All right. They're not in the business of expelling children. They're in the business of keeping children in school. How many other students were expelled from the school the semester that this defendant's son was expelled?
0.
Yeah.
Wow.
They're in business of keeping children in school.
I guess my son was that bad for her to expel her.
She said they didn't expel any other children. I'm going to ask her, how many children were enrolled in the program at the same time the defendant's son was enrolled in the program?
Approximately 70, 75.
Okay, and of the 70 to 75 students, the only student expelled was the defendant's son.
Yes, ma'am.
That should tell you something, sir. Stop making excuses. Okay. I didn't tell you, he didn't look at the paper, he had it underneath him, but he didn't look at it. Well, plagiarizing. So he copied from somebody on a paper that was supposed to be original work, did it once, he did it twice. Do you understand your son has a problem?
Well, we all have problems.
No, I never had a problem being expelled from school, sir, for cheating. I never had a problem being expelled from school for cheating.
I have lied.
I have 5 children and 13 grandchildren. All have completed college, some professional school. None of them have ever been expelled for cheating. That's a lot of people.
Do you feel it's fair to expel a child from a school because of
cheating?
Cheating?
Absolutely. Not that I usually let people ask me questions, but the answer is absolutely. Because if 70 children are working hard to get good grades and studying and creating original works when they're supposed to create original works, and your son who's getting a 99 on a math test when he's been getting low scores on tests all of a sudden becomes a shining star one day, and it's a pattern, and then they find another cheat sheet under his bottom. That's something that suggests to the other 70 students that are trying to do the right thing that it's okay to cheat. And so if you want to cheat on this test to get a 99, it's okay. You can't run a school where you permit kids to mingle with kids who are trying with kids who are cheating. So do I think it's fair? Absolutely. Okay, how much money was reversed by this bank?
$1,050 plus $45, a $15 fee per transaction.
$1,095. Okay, judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,095. Sir, your problem is not with the plaintiff. Your problem's with your son.
He's like all of us. He made a mistake. And
No, he didn't make one mistake. I'm going to tell you something. Honestly, I used to say when I was practicing in a different court that if criminals got caught the first time or every time that they committed a crime, they'd stop committing crimes. Problem is, they commit a crime and they don't get caught. And then they commit another crime and they don't get caught. Then they commit the third crime and they get caught and they're brought to court. And their lawyer argues this is their first arrest. Not their first crime, because they can't argue that, but it's a first arrest. So if what you're suggesting is the 3 times that your son was caught cheating were the only times he cheated, you're deluding yourself. He got caught 3 times. Because if these were the only 3 times that he cheated, he is the unluckiest person on the planet. Okay, we're done here. 1095, judgment for the plaintiff.
Thank you, Your Honor.
This court is adjourned.
I felt the difference was between the wording, what it means as far as being expelled versus being like sent home.
I'm extremely pleased. This was totally a matter of honesty and integrity, and obviously it stems from the father down to the son.
But he explained that's the same word, and again, that's why you come to court, and she did what she had to do.
We have kids that try to cross the line, come close to that line, but as I mentioned, our instructors are pretty savvy and they're on it, and we can tell pretty much, so.
I am happy finally done. It's been a burden, it's been a stress, and hopefully it's done.
Cheaters never win.
So I think it's really important for the plaintiffs, as the runners of a homeschooling system or a schooling system, to have a better contract for the parents that are signing, especially with a payment plan option. There should be exhibits attached to the signature page, not just referencing, oh, we're agreeing that we read the policy from the website. It's just as easy for you to reprint it, attach it, and require a signature, an initial on the bottom, so that you don't have parents like these that say, I never went to the website, I never saw it.
I agree with you.
If you have problems like this, there's no denying the fact that you initialed each page and each policy.
I think that it's a learning experience because they just started the program in 2020. And this is probably the first experience that they've had because he's the first never expelled anybody else. But they'll clean up the contract.
For sure.
Xin chào mọi người, chào mừng mọi người đã đến với kênh của mình. Hôm nay thì mình sẽ tô màu cho bức tranh. Mình sẽ tô màu cho bức tranh này nha. Đầu tiên là chúng ta sẽ tô màu đôi mắt. Bây giờ mình sẽ tô mái tóc màu vàng nha. Giờ mình sẽ tô đến chiếc vòng cổ. Tô bộ đầu nha. Giờ mình sẽ tô màu những bông hoa nha. Bức tranh của mình đã được hoàn thiện xong. Và như vậy là hôm nay chúng ta đã cùng nhau tô màu xong cho bức tranh rồi. Các bạn hãy cùng mình xem thành quả bức tranh của ngày hôm nay nha. Đây chính là thành quả mà mình đã tô được. Video của mình đến đây cũng đã kết thúc. Xin chào và hẹn gặp lại nhé.